Hello? Oh, shoot. What happened? Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I was adjusting, and all of a sudden I'm alive. It skipped everything else that was supposed to happen. Wait a minute. Let me at least play this. Hold on a second here. All right, now we can start. What a disaster. I don't know what happened. I was playing the intro video. I was adjusting my seat. You might have even seen me wince a little bit because I was just trying to get something in, like a little tightness in my back that I'm dealing with, and I was just like trying to get comfortable, and then I didn't hear the rest of the videos playing. So I looked up and saw myself on there. So sorry about that, everybody. That was totally unprofessional. But you guys don't come here for professionalism, so that's a good thing. Welcome to my stream. Hope you guys are having a good day, good afternoon for me, probably good evening for a lot of you. But streaming today on a Tuesday, May 6th, squeezing in a master study stream today. This one's going to be a fun one. I'm not going to yabbity-dabbity too much at the beginning here because one thing I'd mentioned that I wanted to do while doing this master study was kind of do a little watch party or a screen share of a video that I found on David Finch's channel, David Finch's YouTube channel. David Finch is an incredible comic book artist. He's worked on all the big names that you can think of. Got his start learning under Mark Silvestri, I think, training under Mark Silvestri, but he's one of the superstars in the comic book world. And he has a YouTube channel. Doesn't post so super frequently, but when he does, he posts some really good stuff. Sometimes it's live streams, sometimes it's process videos. And in this particular case, he did an interview of Klaus Janson, who is one of the legendary inkers in comic books. And he's probably the most well known for pairing up with Frank Miller, John Romita Jr., and also being a great penciler and inker himself. Did work on like Punisher, a bunch of different stuff, Daredevil, Batman. So yeah, Klaus Janson is a legend. And so he got him to be on his channel. David Finch got him to be on his channel. And they're inking while they're talking about the process of inking and just the whole comic business in general and just their background. So it's such a fascinating watch. And I thought it would be great to have that playing while I'm inking this Frank Miller Daredevil page that Klaus Janson was the inker on. And in the last Master Study stream of this, somebody was asking, like, what tools do you think Klaus Janson was using? And I was like, I think he was using a brush, but some people said maybe he's using a nib. And the awesome thing is, after watching this video, you can see that he uses a combo of both. And he even goes into the actual supplies and the tools that he uses. So it's a great video. I was going to pop that on while I'm streaming and inking. Let's look at the page where it is right now. So this is the, finished the pencils in a couple of streams. This was the pencil stage of this page, from a 1980s era of Frank Miller drawing Daredevil. And then that took a couple live streams with you guys. And then the first inking stream I did, I finished, or not finished, but did this, attack this first panel of Daredevil. Didn't finish the backgrounds yet, but we'll save that for another time. And then for this next panel, I'm going to hit up this Elektra face, which is going to be awesome. Super delicate, but it'll be a great thing to work on. Let me get my reference image as well, just to be clear. So yeah, the whole process of these Master Study videos is I love to take the original page, which is here, of Frank Miller, blow it up to approximately the comic book size that they drew it on, and then recreate it from scratch. So going from pencils, like blank page, pencils, blocking it in, roughing it in, tightening up the pencils, and then taking it all the way through the inks. So yeah, I have a bunch of these Master Studies so far. I think 7. I think this is the 7th one I've done. And I always like to kind of run through the roster. The first one was Mike Zeck, then Michael Golden, Will Eisner, Mobius, Will Eisner, I'm missing one. Mike Zeck. Jim Steranko, Barry Windsor Smith, and then this guy here, Frank Miller. So they've been really fun. You can go back and watch those. I have playlists for all of those live streams, and it's just fun to just kind of see the process and carry it through all the way to the end. So that's where we're at right now. And then always fun to engage with chat and just as you guys are talking. So, but I won't do a lot of the talking this time because we'll have that video playing. So yeah, I won't spend too much time doing it, but talking, because we'll have this video playing. But I definitely want to say hello to the chat. What's up, Mark's Music Obsession? Mark says, pleasant surprise. He said that he's been first in Michael Bancroft's stream. How many times did you say it was? Like 45 times, Mark? And I asked him, like, who's the leader? He said there's 54. Somebody's been in that chat 54 times, or first in that chat 54 times. So Mark's going to hit it, man. 54 or whatever it was a few years ago. Can't remember sure who said it. He says it thinks it's Jeremy Burtz who holds the record. Well, you are nipping at his heels right now, Mark. So that's awesome. I should start. No, it's too much work to keep tally. How does Bancroft do it? He's a pretty organized guy, so he must have some sort of automated process or something. Maybe it's just him keeping good count, but that's amazing. Comrade Sammy's here. Something popped up. I'm kind of busy, but I'll try to hop in as much as possible. Now, Comrade Sammy, didn't we have this conversation yesterday that today would be a good day to stream because you're free? Wednesday wouldn't be that great because you're not so free. So here I was getting this stream ready just so that Comrade Sammy can be involved. And then now I hear that you're too busy? What's going on? What's this little switcheroo there? K-pop junkie, what's up? K-pop, don't switch on me, K-pop. Good to see you. As busy as K-pop is, she always pops in, so I appreciate that. She K-pops in. Oh, here it is. Mark was saying I'm at 42 now on Bancroft for first. His record for a year is like 54, and it's only the beginning of May. That's incredible. Mark's posted a link to the stream on his TV at home. It's huge. And I mentioned in the chat, it's always weird to see that. It doesn't look natural to me. It's kind of crazy. So, but it's cool. Gotta love it. You're right, Rocky. I'm here now. We may start. All right, John.
He goes, what's your name?
For it.
He goes, John.
John, you can help me by chastising Comrade Sammy for telling us that Tuesday was a better day. Everybody's ready. Everybody's ready. Yap away. Looks like your primary derailers are all they're otherwise occupied. Yep. Comrade Sammy, too busy. Emo trash, where is she? All these people. I feel a little confused. How is the weather there today at Mark's Music Obsession, Florida? It was stormy in Texas and near DC, but clear here. Go back the Band of Crow on Kickstarter, Mark's Music Obsession says. Great art, good story in the intro book. Funding for the Full Buck 1 started this morning. All right, cool. Check it out. Post that link if you want to, Mark. Storms some around lunch. We have rain forecast for the next 4 days, John. That's good, though, because I heard that Florida's needing some rain. Well, certain areas of Florida are needing some rain, so hopefully that will be good, not too bad. Play this copyright-free music, Rocky. It may lure in emo. Oh, boy. What is this? Let's see. I'm curious now. Let's see. Okay. What is this? No, this is an ad. All right, we'll play this while we're still talking. It's a good 2 minutes here. Is this a very emo trashy song? It's not too loud. And make sure once I start playing the video of the David Finch video, let me know, you guys know the volume levels and all that. Okay, you don't boat when it's raining normally? Obviously not. Omer Glitch is here. 11x17 comic art boards with the 10x15 suggested drawing art. There, thank you very much. That's it. 11x17. And all the wow, that's kind of loud. All the paper that I use. Sorry, just trying to like finagle this volume level. The paper that I use has the nice like borders. The comic, I like the like pre-drawn out areas, like safe area and the trim area and all that kind of stuff. So it's good. I love working at this size. It's a great size, and you could just see how. I know that certain artists, when they wanted to get even more detail or make the stuff look even more like dense, they would work on even larger artboards than 11x17. Like Todd McFarlane did that for some of his run on Spider-Man, and some other artists I know have done that. So, but yeah, 11x17 is a great size to work at for comics. Nice to see you, Omer Glitch. Nah, John, no fun. Oh, you missed the Midnight Shant stream last night. Day of streams yesterday. Oh, no kidding. Rocky, Comrade Sammy does what she wants. Vampire stream for Shanth and Jetty. Here's the Kickstarter back for the Band of Crow book. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for dropping that link. K-pop's in. Dad joke detected. Never trust a commie. A comrade Sammy, that's right. She pulled the rug out from me. I'm a little taken aback. Can't cage the chat ninja. That's right. My lesson is learned. Raining all week for K-pop. I think she's in the Midwest, right? K-pop? Michigan, that's right. Speak of the devil, Jeremy Burtz is here. What's up, Jeremy Burtz? Are you the leader? We heard this. Little bird told me you're the leader on Bancroft's leaderboard for being first in chat. So I hear somebody's competing with you for that position. Look out behind. Look out for your rear view mirror. I won't say who it is, but they may be in the chat. I'm just saying. John said, Emo heard this song on Art T-Bear's black and white trailer and proceeded to hunt it down. It is catchy. Oh, there's something else is playing, and I don't know if that's copyright free now, so I will stop it. Otherwise, we could get struck before we even start. That wouldn't be good. Everybody's saying hello to Omer Glitch, and Jeremy Burtz explains love of music, K-pop. Nice. All right. Jeremy Burtz knows what's up. Okay, so that's cool. Catches the chat. Everybody who's here so far, thank you so much for coming already. Hit that like. We're going to get going on inking this page, or inking another panel on this page. So let me switch views. And here we are. Closer up view of good old Daredevil. And look at that beautiful Elektra just peeking through the broken glass. She's the one who threw him out of it, I think. But yeah, she's I'm gonna move my water over here. If I wince every now and then as I rotate, apologies. But yeah, my back was giving me some problems, which isn't good. It's just it's another case of the old man Rockies. All right, so I'm gonna supply up. I'm gonna start this video. And there's a lot of intros going on. There's David Finch right there in the corner. Klaus Janson. I don't think he ever puts puts his face on screen. And then there's somebody else here on the bottom. Apologies for not knowing. I think he's a friend of David Finch, but it's primarily between Klaus Janson and David Finch, and it goes like to screen in a second here. But I'm gonna start playing this. Let me know if the levels are. I'll jump in here and talk as we go and comment, but just let me know in the chat if the levels are okay, the audio levels, and let's get going, because they're just gonna give some intros, give some nice, like, small talk at the beginning, and then they'll get into it. But it's great. It's a great video.
Hi everybody, we're live. Thank you so much for coming by. We have a very special guest tonight. I'm very, very excited to be able to have not only a legendary,
I forgot to
the
turn it off.
legendary inker in comics, but also an artist, a colorist, a penciler. He's really done it all and done it on the biggest projects.
Thank you, Omer
imaginable. And
Glitch.
that's
Yeah, it's a
covers
great
a lot of
page.
ground. I've done some of the biggest projects imaginable. I've done Batman, and I've done X-Men and Avengers, but I have not done Dark Knight Returns or Daredevil or all the work that you've done with John Romita Jr. That's some of my favorite stuff on Spider-Man. I think it's the greatest combination of penciler and inker. He just brings so much to his work. I'm not even doing an introduction anymore. I'm sorry. You know what? We were talking this whole time. We were having a good time, and I realized it was time to start, and I didn't even think of what I was going to say. So I just want to say thank you so much to Klaus Janson for coming on and doing some drawing and some inking with us. And thank you all for coming to watch. And I'm sure we're all going to learn a lot. This is going to be a huge amount of fun.
John says it sounds
go
good.
and just
Bottom is
solo
David
your
Finch's
screen.
art cam.
Perhaps?
It's not actually. Oh yeah, sorry. I don't have the ad blocker, so that's gonna happen occasionally. Oh, maybe it was. Maybe that was his.
Yeah.
Maybe that was his
Can you
art.
see
But
it?
there is a
Yeah.
third person that comes in later. So
It was the beginning of a cover idea that I had, and then I rejected it. So I thought it would be perfect to play around with tonight.
Now, why did you reject it?
But I forget actually. I think part of the problem was the leg was too long and it was starting to creep out of the defined space. So I'm trying to get it a little bit shorter right now. Do it in perspective or 3D. But for our purposes, it'll be fine. I'll probably fix the leg.
okay, it seems that
After
sound levels are
the,
good. Just
stream.
holler in the chat.
work up
I'll
here.
try and
I'll
look
ink
up
up
and
here.
catch in the chat too. But I'm just gonna
Yeah,
focus in here
I'm
and
looking at
listen
it, I
in
think it
as
looks
we go.
amazing, but I do know how that goes. It's we're always our own worst critic.
Well, yes, and that definitely serves a purpose. It makes, I hope it makes us better, as artists. I mean, there are things that I'm constantly
Oh, that's awesome, Omer
discovering.
Glitch. I will check that out.
Want
That's
to say
awesome.
quickly, we have a
Monday
chat
Night
from
Draws with Omer
Don
Glitch.
Von Doom,
Homage,
says, yes,
homage
the
show
master
to
of
Finch.
Masters
Nice.
Klaus Janson.
Definitely
I
I'll
just
check that
purchased
out.
his
Thanks
DC
for telling me.
penciling book, so this is great.
Oh, thanks.
And Samuel Reyes, same thing. He says good choices. DC pencil and inking books are superb.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be great. And maybe to start, we could talk about
Sure.
what tools you're going to be using to
Okay.
ink this.
These are my basic tools. This is a nib that I use. It's a 103 Hunts mapping point is what they call it. It's just a very simple nib. I like these nib holders as opposed to the smaller ones. But I definitely, this is, pretty simple. I mean, I also use Japanese nibs and other, microns for straight lines. But on the jobs that I really, really invest in, I almost do everything with a nib and a brush. And
There you go. Nib and
Go ahead,
brush.
David, yeah.
So never 102.
102 is
I've
pretty
tried
much,
it,
I've heard it's
and
like the
yes,
standard.
You're right, never a 102. I'm definitely a 103. We were talking before we came on just
I've heard
how-
102. A
how
lot of people
much,
use Hunt 102.
We're influenced by the things we read and the things that we did as kids, as teenagers. And the 103 was the nib that I found, as a kid. And although I've experimented with other nibs, and I love the Japanese nibs, they're very, very good. But they don't have the flexibility that I'm looking for.
They don't. I actually have some of those too. I've got Deleter Maru pen tips.
I've definitely heard
Sure.
of
They're
Deleter.
great, and I think that they're more sturdy. They last longer, but they are harder to get.
That is, or the G pen, which I like. But that's funny that you agree that they're very inflexible, to whatever degree. And
They
you're-
are, and sometimes I feel like that's an advantage for me because I don't have the best hand control, but it can be. It feels really limiting pushing something that I feel like I'm just really pressuring to get a line out of. And you tend to work in a really expressive way with a lot of heavier holding lines. Now, I'm going to save this for later. So because I wanted to talk about the way that you ink.
Sure.
Not just in terms of tools, but also just in terms of philosophy and the impact that's had on so many inkers and artists in the years since. But we'll save that.
Okay. So let me say this is the brush, just to wrap up the tools. This is the brush that I use. It's a Raphael Series 8402. They're kind of hard to get in America, but you can, get them. A number 4, Series 8402.
Now,
I guess
pardon
that's,
me?
I guess that's Kalinsky. It might be difficult to get here.
Yeah, because of the harming the animal kind of issue.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've got a Raphael
harming the animal
2
kind of issue.
8404. Is that a worse brush?
No, that's a good one too. I believe that has the orange tip, does it?
It does, yeah.
Yes, the orange tip sometimes turns out to be a better brush than the one without the tip, or the flesh color tip. So that's a good
Omar
brush.
Glitch says your inking on the Daredevil looks
And
awesome.
I've
I've been
got
practicing
the
with my brush lately up
Raphaels
to
are the
my
best
nice.
brushes,
Thank you, Omar Glitch. Yeah,
right
brushes
now, going
my
right
favorite.
now.
Yeah, I got some Winsor & Newton Series 7 that I've probably had for 10 to 13 years. I've never used, so I guess I'll use it tonight.
Oh, good.
I think those are.
Oh, good. We're gonna definitely have fun then.
Yeah.
A 7 is a pretty big brush.
Oh, it's the Series 7, but I think it's like a size 0, 1.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
Might hit bigger.
yeah. That'll that will be fine. I use a 4 or 5 brush just because I like the, as David was saying, I like the bold line.
So I'm using a 2.
But basically, these are the two.
And you can get
tools
pretty
that
thick
I
lines with a
use.
2, so a 4 or 5,
I'm
that's
working on
pretty
a
big.
job
That's
right
pretty
now,
thick.
and this is pretty much what I'm doing. I use Sumi ink, SUMI.
I've heard of that. I've never tried it.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
That's what, Dave, that's what Greg Staples was using for ink washing.
I just want to say quickly, JDSCT, who's a mainstay of the channel, says Klaus loves Sacred Creatures he did with Pablo Riamondi. Such great books.
Thanks very much. We are working on the second volume, which I'm sure is sending shudders in the comic book community.
And I saw JDSCT mention before the stream started that Lewis Hamilton has gone to Ferrari in F1. So I saw that. Yeah.
That's
Big
Yeah,
news.
I'm no longer a Ferrari fan now.
Because of Lewis Hamilton? Or because what they did to Carlos Sainz?
Call him A, call him B.
All right, fair enough.
This is the Sumi ink, and I can't get it open right now. Wait a minute.
Actually, while you open it, I have a good question from Nick Clark, and he says, have you ever used shampoo and conditioner to clean your brushes? It's hair, after all. I have been doing it for years, and I find it works great and keeps your brushes soft.
Really?
That's a great tip. But I do not wash my brushes at all, ever.
What?
I swirl them around in a jar of water,
Huh.
like this, and just brush them up against a piece of cloth that like terry cloth that has fibers, and can pull the ink off of like this. I'll do this, and it pulls the ink, off the off the brush, and you can leave it with a point and sit it upright in a jar. But I found that that when I wash them with like there are products out there, I forget what they are. I wash them too hard, and it just crumbles. It just doesn't work for me. So, whatever works for anyone is
absolutely.
totally okay.
That's the philosophy.
Dan
I
Lassard
agree
said
with.
that Sumi ink is what tattoo artists use.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. There you go.
Oh, that's great.
And Ricardo Arts asks, does your ink react differently with the type of brush that you're using?
Yes. Yeah, everything has a different reaction depending on what tools, what ink, what paper you're using. I find that the paper is very, very influential. The density of the ink,
now,
all of
speaking
it.
of which,
I want to say Tim. I'm Jack Black. Oh, that's it. Yeah. I'm not Jack Black.
Oliver, this is Zach Gallagher.
Oh yes, Zach Gallifragilistic, of
Yeah,
course.
I'll have to
what kind of paper is it that you're using?
look into
I
the ad
use
blockers, guys. The links you're sending. I keep
stuff
forgetting.
that right now I'm working on a DC book, or DC story. So what DC sends me.
Okay, yeah. It's been a while since I've gotten paper. I use Strathmore. Eric, what do I use? 200.
You use the Strathmore 200, the Blue Line comic.
Yeah, and I use the Smooth, which I'm thinking maybe I might switch to not a rough, but like a vellum. I'm just
Mighty Geek Studios, what's
I
up?
like
The
penciling
size of the
on
brush
vellum.
you use really says a lot about the effect you're
as long
looking
as you're
for.
not using a quill, which I don't use. It's
I
not
find
so
that the
bad,
two
Yeah, because the quill
is a good
will
medium
catch
for me because I
on
can
the
get. I've mentioned this
texture,
before.
right?
You can
Yeah.
get really fine lines with it, but you can also
Oh,
get
and
broad
just to say,
strokes.
you know,
So
in terms of working
I have
analog
not
versus
needed to get a
digital,
different size brush
I do
yet.
work digitally, so I'll do 75% on the paper, 60, 80, depending on the job, and then I'll scan it in, and I'll often re-ink stuff. I'll often erase. It's a terrible, terrible habit that I've developed since I started using digital. Um, but the digital is very useful. I find I like it a lot. It's easy to put texture in, right? As
Yes.
opposed to cutting Zipatone, you know, back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I'm still open to
I
the
like
I've
idea
never used
of
Zipatone, but
using Zipatone for some of the areas on this page.
Literal
So stay
Zipatone, right?
tuned.
right. Yeah, I've never used literal Zipatone. I've seen it done though, and it's a job.
Yeah, it's I look at the old Daredevils that we did, and you
Yeah,
know, it was
Daredevil.
very Zipatone heavy, and I thought, oh my God, I was out of my mind. You know,
Love it.
just incredible stuff.
Henry Jeremick says, Klaus, regardless of what pencil you inked, I always thought you did a great job staying true to the pencils, yet at the same time enhancing the art with your style. And I think that's really why you've been where you've been in your career for how many years is it now? Is it 40 years? I think it's more. It's got
51 this year.
oh man, I was way off. Yeah. I've been doing this for 30 and I feel like that's I want to keep doing it for another 20, but
It gets interesting when you get to this point. I'll tell you that, David. I mean, one of the questions that I have, although there aren't that many people in my age bracket at this point left, but one of the questions that I have, talking to somebody who's been in the business as long as I have, is how does your thinking change as you get older? Have you experienced that at all, David? But I mean, you're still a baby. But
yeah, relatively, I guess it has changed. I try to fight it as much as I can. I really do try to remember the things that made me want to do this when I was young, and the things that I valued in art when I was young, because that's the kind of artist I wanted to be, and I just never wanted to lose sight of that. And I think it's so easy. There's so many artists that I really, really respect, and I'd love to try it. And I feel like, you know what, I know what my philosophy is and the kind of art that I want to do, and I try to keep that forefront of my mind. It's hard sometimes.
that's really interesting, David. I appreciate you saying that. I think that's valuable to keep that in mind. You know, what excited you as a kid, right?
Yeah, and it's tough because we're not kids anymore, and you don't see things the same way, and so maintaining that kind of wonder is really hard, and it can be a challenge sometimes. But you know what? I still love doing it, and I still do love the things about art that I did when I was young. So I still find, and there's so many incredible artists working in the business now. It's
I agree.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're starting, which is great. I wanted to ask though, do you have any warm up you ever do, or you just go right into it?
I might warm up by doing straight lines in the backgrounds or something like that. But usually I'll start with the same way I'm doing now. I'll pick an area that is innocuous, and if I screw it up, it's not going to be the end of the piece, and just warm up that way.
Yeah, who has time for
Just
warm
kind of
up?
like
Just get in
noodle
there.
around, make sure that the nib is working. Maybe do some cross hatching. Find some place where I can do a little texture or something. Just
So,
test it out. Yeah.
Speaking of which, here I have a question for you.
Sure.
So I've got my pen, and I'm dipping in an ink, and nothing's coming out.
That is a completely normal problem. And, what happens is, let me finish that. Okay. What happens is that in the process of manufacturing the nib, there is grease apparently involved. And so the grease remains on the nib. And of course, if you're going to put liquid on something greasy, it bubbles.
Yeah.
So it's not going to flow. So you have to find a way to clean the nib. And there are, various suggestions I can pass on. Some work, some don't. Some work sometimes, some don't work sometimes. But what I'll do is swirl it around in water, put it in the nib holder, swirl it around in water, and try to clean it off with a paper towel as much as you can, or even an eraser. So
Okay,
if you can get it. Pardon me? Go ahead.
I
Dave.
wish I could go back in time right now, because what I did actually, as I was asking, I thought, okay, if I bend it a little bit, maybe, because I've done that before and it's kind of worked, but then I've kind of bent my tip.
Well, bending, if that works, if you found something that, like, the bending technique, we'll call it the David Finch bending technique.
Yeah.
If that works, then, use it.
Wait.
You're keeping tabs on me.
No, I'm not.
Commercials will
Call
remind
it
me
professional
to
curiosity.
check the chat.
Way to end up with.
All right, let's see who we are. Where are we at? Rocky's in the zone. Mark's music. Cranberry Landers, what's up, Cranberry?
This is a cranberry full of power.
Long time no see. Rocky's watching a David Finch stream. That's right. I'm kind of screen sharing a David Finch stream where he's interviewing Klaus Janson about, as both of them are inking. How meta is that? And we're inking. And Klaus Janson was the inker on this page. So that's kind of where I got the idea, where I was asking, or somebody in chat was asking, I believe it was Antoine Dennison, we were guessing what tools Klaus uses, and then it got me into thinking of like, oh, I think I remember he was on a stream with Finch, and I looked it up and started watching it. I was like, oh, that would be so cool to share. So here we are, inking and watching and learning about inking too. So enjoy, Cranberry.
Compromise quill for the rest of the life of the quill.
You can put it. Do you have another quill? You can use another quill. No.
This is my only 103. I've got a bunch of 102, but I only had.
Okay.
I didn't realize you used a 103, so I switched over, and it is actually working. So I should be fine.
It nibs, and not to get the Hunt's company upset, but if you get one good nib out of 5, you're incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I found that that's actually part of the reason I kind of stopped using these. You get a line quality that you just can't achieve any other way.
Right.
But the heartache to get there is so much.
That is that is absolutely the right word. The heartache. That's right. And people often talk about, and I think you mentioned it too, like I'll use like a line that looks spontaneous, or a big fat line, or there's energy to it. Sometimes that is worked over because the nib just won't cooperate. So I'll do 2 or 3 strokes in order to achieve a particular line.
We had Jimmy Reyes on, who's a very, very good inker. He was doing some quill inking, and he was doing that quite a bit. Lines that I thought he was throwing just in one shot, he would build up quite a bit, and I really learned something from that instead of just being impatient and trying to get it,
Yeah, there's nothing, there's no, I don't feel that there's any pressure to ink a certain way. I think the end result is what's important. And if if people, on the stream want to ink with a broomstick or, a Q-tip, I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter to me.
Whatever works.
The end result, it's the image in your head. Don't you agree, David? It's the image in your head that is important.
I agree, and I'm torn because
Tell me.
I find, I'll go online, especially for painting. I'm really trying to learn how to paint, and people will ask, how does Simon Bisley do this? That's my favorite question. and so many people online will say it's not the tools, it's the artist. I'm like, I know it's the artist, but please just tell me what he uses.
Yeah, how does he do it?
Yeah. Just give me the secret.
Yeah, give me, let me, and I'll leave you alone. That's the bargain.
So speaking of struggle, yeah, Eric, I apologize in advance for saying that. Here, let me clean this off. Because I don't know how it's coming for Eric right now, and we're going to go and check it out.
How's he doing?
How it's coming along here. How's it coming, Eric?
Is he crying?
It's all right.
What are you using to stream Rocky Ombre Glitches? I'm using Ecamm. Yeah, is that working okay? Yeah, I like Ecamm a lot.
I would suspect by the end of this it'll be
a lot of people use StreamYard or Restream, but I found Ecamm gives really good quality.
I haven't done this for
and a lot of flexibility with what you can do.
We have a super chat from Carbon Dioxide for $5. Thank you so much, Carbon. He says, Klaus, all your artwork is amazing, but I just want to say how much I especially love Detective Comics number 568. Thank you for all your hard work and skill.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm, you know, if
Sean
anybody
uses
remembers anything
Ecamm
I've
also.
done, I feel like so grateful. I mean, I never take it for granted. So that means a lot to me. Don't you feel the same, David? I get the feeling you do.
Yeah, oh, I do. I mean, that's why we do it. You know, it's a, I don't know, a drive to do something that you believe in and something hopefully great and hopefully remembered. You know, and it's not always going to be the case. So anytime you do something that anyone remembers, always very, very meaningful. I find I go to conventions and people say, I really like this that you did, and I'm sure you hear that a lot. And I'm like, no, please, really, that's why I'm here. I need it. Thank you. It means a lot.
It absolutely does, and I'll tell you, just personally speaking, I've had a rough couple of weeks, couple of months, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to the first convention that I'm going to, which is AwesomeCon, in like 2 or 3 weeks, and it's for that reason. You know, I need to be with my community. I need to talk to other artists, right? I need to see what's going on. I need to talk to fans. I need to hear things, like we love you. And it's, I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's, I wonder if fans know how much it does mean to us.
Will you be going to Dallas?
That's great to hear, and I think that's kind of the magic of YouTube too.
Going to where?
To Dallas.
We've kind of expanded that audience. You don't just find that audience at cons,
Dallas?
which is cool, but you can find that audience online too.
Okay, yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, the
As a
first
matter
time
of
I
fact,
met you, I was in Dallas, I believe.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
And I just say,
I think we.
Ditto man, I'm trying to learn a new job. That's why I'm in shows less frequently. Oh, it's okay, Cranberry. Got to do what you got to do. I may lurk. Awesome. Who is this person talking in my ear? That isn't Rocky, Comrade Sammy says. It's David Finch, Klaus Janson. Can learn a lot more from them than you can from me, Comrade Sammy. I feel ripped off. I will give you a refund after this stream of the amount of money that you had to pay for entrance fee. It'll be free for you, Comrade Sammy. David Finch and Klaus Janson. That's right, Klaus Janson. Ecamm, I'll have to look into it. I like your setup and what you're bringing to your stream, Rocky. Thanks, Omer Glitch. Yeah, Ecamm's awesome. It works great. It was built for Mac computers, so if you are a Mac user, it's great. It's catered towards Mac users. The other thing I like about it is the stream quality is really high. You can get very, very high quality video and audio coming out of it. and I found that that's a little compromised depending on what streaming software you use sometimes, the other software. And then I know a lot of people use OBS, which OBS you can do so many different things, different plugins, make it really customizable. But I don't know. I've just found the user interface and the way that Ecamm is built to be super handy. I do pay for a subscription price on it, so that allows for higher quality streaming and other functionality. But yeah, I like it a lot. I have no complaints on Ecamm. I mean, there's some quirky things that happen here and there, but it's been a lot more stable than when I was trying out some other software. And then even with StreamYard, that one I found the quality was just never up to par of what I wanted when I tried some test streams on there. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Check it out. And the Ecamm community is really good too. They have a lot of like sessions or like instructional videos, and I haven't had to reach out to like help desk or anything for any issue yet, but I've heard they're very responsive, and then they update all the time. They update the software all the time, so there's always new functionality that is available. Cool. All right, just coming along. Look at those eyes, piercing Electra eyes. All right, let's keep going.
Before we sign off tonight, we should all go through the conventions we're going to be at.
Mark Music Obsession says, I'm an iPhone and iPad guy forever, but I use and build my own PCs for other stuff.
Oh, dude. Well,
Nice.
I have my list. So
Lindsay Rose. Hey, Lindsay Rose. Here for a bit. Omer Glitch says, Mac. Bleh. I've been using OBS, but it's a pain to set up. That's what I found. It was like, it's almost too...
What do you think of, David, when you ink?
It's like the difference between PCs and Macs, right? It's like...
It depends. I would say when I'm inking with tools...
It's like, PCs, a lot more people that are like engineer-brained or love to like build their own computers or whatever, love PCs better. They're cheaper, more affordable, more customizable. I love the design of Macs. I love the ecosystem of Apple, just how seamless, well, most of the time, seamless to communicate with devices and stuff on it. And just the whole user experience I love of Apple. So Ecamm kind of feels like that versus OBS, which feels more like a PC thing. So yeah, it's just preference. Again, like with tools, inking tools, anything in life, it's whatever works for you. If somebody loves OBS and PCs and hates Mac, but they put out a good product, more power to them. I have nothing against that. Okay, here we go.
More comfortable with.
Sure.
It gets very zen.
It's nice to be able to connect with people more directly. Yes.
Enjoying trying to create shapes and
good to see you, Lindsay Rose.
Especially with rendering.
Strictly a PC Android user. Nice.
I have a very simple philosophy for how I do my line weights. That's something I really wanted to talk to you about, actually, because it's something that. So I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk a little bit just about the influence that you've had on other artists in the business, and for me, your name has always been very, very legendary, coming from Image Comics, working with Scott Williams, and all of the great inkers at Homage Studios, Sandra Hope, and all of the inkers at Top Cow, Joe Weems and Bat, and they always referred back to your work because whoops. Oh, see, this is the other problem. Does this ever happen? It must happen sometimes where you just dip your hand in it by mistake because it takes a long time to dry.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not used to it, David. That's what it is.
Yeah. So Scott Williams would talk about it's a few things. Number one, just the boldness of line, which is something that is not really as common as you might think. You know, a lot of inkers are a little bit more conservative when it comes to just being bold with the line, and especially I feel like the number one thing. And inking with a quill, which is something that Image was really famous for, and not really as common. I think it was much more of a brush is more common for comics. But the one that always really stood out for me is just being able to ink figures and backgrounds and be literal, but also bring a lot of energy and life to it, and dry brushing and just different techniques to just give it warmth, because inking with a quill can look, I don't know if that's the right term, but it's just how I feel about it. It can look a little cold and sterile sometimes, and just bringing, I feel like a bit of a meteor line and texture just adds so much warmth.
That's why I like the brush. I feel like the line quality
This may be the last ad you ever see. Because with the free ad block
has a lot more
extension from
life
Capital
to
One
it,
Shopping,
and like warmth is a good
I agree
term.
with you, and I
Organic
think
quality.
That you're right about the quill, or the nib rather, having less warmth than a brush. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But what I like about the, I think that I have, and I might be going off on a tangent. So, and thanks for the compliment. And I know Scott is a fan of my work. I mean, he said so in different interviews, and I appreciate that a lot. But I think that I have a couple of different approaches to inking, depending on the penciler, and including whether or not I'm penciling in a certain style. Mm-hmm. So I have a very choppy line that breaks off. It doesn't have a point to it, and I like that a lot. I like that approach very much. It's maybe a little European.
Yeah, kind of Mobius. He's very famous for that kind of a technique.
Oh, well, thank you. It's very dynamic, and it's very powerful. There's a whole philosophy around a straight line is much stronger than a round line. And if I'm inking a shoulder, depending on the size of the image, of course, if it's a small shoulder, if it's a small figure, you can't really do that. But if it's a larger figure, like on a cover or someplace, I will break that shoulder down into 3 straight lines rather than one curved line.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, David. You were going to say something?
Oh, I was agreeing, and I guess what I would say is that's something I definitely learned from my time at Image, and it is something that being inked by a lot of different people, I found there's always I tried to leave well enough alone. I know it's incredibly difficult inking and dealing with the fact that you're working for your own aesthetic, but you're also having to deal with the artist. So I try to keep my mouth shut. But something I find it really difficult to ignore is when something that is fairly straight line based gets really curved out in inks. I think it really loses a lot.
100%, David. I totally agree with you. I think that the bold line that you refer to, that I use and that I have used, was really, which is a whole different conversation about how technology has affected the work that we do. I came into Marvel in the like 72, which sounds like 1,000 years ago, but the printing itself was not very good, and in order for the figures to stand out, or in order for the image to be seen correctly, I found that being bold solved that problem.
This is
And
something that
when the printing got better,
David Mazzucchelli was talking about, the
somewhere
printing
in the,
process
in
when
the,
he was
in
working
the
on Batman
90s
Year
or in the
One.
late 80s.
Similar thing, he would
And
like
then, of
cater
course,
his style,
digital, bless
or
you,
how he was doing the
and of course,
finishing
digital later
style
on.
of his
I
artwork
found that
based on the
personally, I
printing
had
process.
a bit of I guess, a hurdle to overcome my tendency to use a very bold line because you didn't need it as much because of the because of the better printing. So I use it, I think, a little less, a little more carefully, a little more judiciously. Yeah, but
If you wouldn't mind, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I just wanted to ask if you could maybe just slide it down toward you.
Oh,
Just a
I'm
little bit.
sorry. I'm deep into this now.
And-
yeah, I'm so totally sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have a super chat that, from the Lone Draftsman for $20. Thank you very much. He says, "Hey guys, as an aspiring comic artist, I recently had my first eye floater causing mental anguish. Have you or others in the industry dealt with this? How did you manage to avoid it affecting your work? Thank you." Now, I have to admit, I have not had that happen, and I haven't had it come up. But I can imagine anything to do with your vision as an artist has got to be very, very concerning. So I hope it's something that can be sorted out and or certainly worked with. I will say. Hopefully it's an annoyance and not something that really hinders what you do. That would be it's a tragedy for an artist to not be able to do their art. So we certainly wish you the best.
I agree, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think, do you mind if I blabber, David? If I go?
Of course.
Yeah. One of the things that I think has been helpful to me and my career is that I've always thought of this as a very long run rather than a sprint, a short circle around the track. And I've always prepared for that. I've always tried to plan for that. So when you're at I assume that the friend who posed the question about the eyes is of course much younger than probably all of us on this stream, right?
We're not the youngest. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my advice is, please plan for the long term. Take good care. I noticed, at the School of Visual Arts that kids are 20 years old, 19 years old, 21 years old, and they have carpal or they have arthritis.
Oof.
And, that at 20, that's not good.
That's not good.
No. How would you avoid that?
I think that get off your devices unless you need to work. If you need to work and it still persists, change something about it. Go analog if you have to. Tilt your table in a different way. Eat better. Exercise. I hate to sound like, like...
Eat your Wheaties.
Yeah, the guy who's, get off my lawn.
Hang on a second. I just want to catch up here. Unhinged Jason. What's up, Jason? Finch should have you on with Klaus to teach them a thing or two about smoothing. Oh, shut up. You are too kind. This is the man with the impaired eyesight. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that with the fullness of my heart. Those eyes, those intense, passionate eyes of Elektra, the woman who would kill you. That's right. I know he can only take the dulcimer tones so long. I'm poor, so Apple products never appealed to me. Fair enough. Omer Glitch, they are not cheap. They keep getting more and more expensive. And yeah, not cheap at all. I'm the same Rocky the Relaxer. That's why Lindsay Rose is here. To be put to sleep. To be relaxed. Lulled into a calm state of comics. John is out getting food, is my guest. Unhinged, what do you find unhinging? Hail unhinged. Interesting, separating a shoulder into 3 straight lines. Yeah, I'm assuming it's like boom, 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 as opposed to like one smooth circle. And you can see that. I mean, you look at Finch's work, like that image he's drawing right now, how he's broken up, like the musculature in Wolverine's arm. It's just his natural style now, but it does have a sense of, power, a little bit more aggression than, say, a more rounded, organic, fluid line there. But it's just a preference, I would say. I don't think there's one way better the other. The people that Finch was influenced by, the artists that Finch was influenced by, like Silvestri, like the Homage Studios guys, all those guys, they all have a very similar take and approach to their artwork, to their comic artwork, which is why it kind of had like a house style. But it's cool, it's a great look. I don't think my style, my natural tendencies go in that direction. I love the like brush ink feel. But yeah, it also depends on what you're drawing, Lindsay Rose says, I need a falafel. Nice. Rice-a-roni. No. It's a San Francisco treat, but it doesn't work. Everything Asian in me goes against rice-a-roni. Funny because I like Finch's work much better. Than who? Than me? I take offense to that. No. His work is awesome. Finch is incredible. All right, let's go.
I'll just say it. Being a little older at this point, and looking back and trying to figure out what worked and what doesn't work. What works is all the things that people tell you to do that you poo at, which means,
that you poo at?
Take your vitamins, exercise, save your money, have good, healthy friendships. All of that stuff.
That's a horrible advice.
and I think it's worthwhile listening to that and embracing that and
everything at Roger starts and ends on Slack. I love huddles because the communication.
Being very, very cognizant of the fact that the most important thing in your life, besides your family and your husband or your wife, your kids, is your work. And take care of that.
I truly can't envision a time not being able to do this. And something I really don't like to think about. So of course, it's something I think about all the time.
God, I love you, David.
But it's such a blessing to be able to do this every day that I've been able to, and I'd be willing to go to pretty great lengths to do what I had to do to be able to keep going. A big one for me has been, speaking of carpal tunnel, you guys all know this, that watch regularly. On my pencil, I've got a lot of tape built up, and I find that really helps with my hand a lot. So I recommend that. I don't do that when I'm inking because I don't press so hard, so it's not as hard as on my hand.
That's right. I'm sorry, David. I'm just hold your thought. Just to confirm, the brush that I use, which I'm holding up, I put tape around the.
I think I need to do that.
Because I need.
I haven't done that yet.
it helps my hand. It just helps my hand, to have this tape around it. It's a little bit softer than wood, and it's larger. David, go. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden.
Hey, it's not just me who coughs when they stream.
You were talking about putting tape around your pencil.
Oh, right. And I have a real tendency, and I'm actually a little worried that this might be a negative thing. I tend to work on the couch with a lap board because I find leaning over the desk for hours and hours starts to bother my back. But then I think I'm laying on a couch all the time. That can't be good, So
have you had any bad results from lying on your couch?
Not that I'm aware of. So I guess that's a good point.
I think I've said, whatever works. People are way too rigid about, rules or ideology. Whatever works for you is fine.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's see how Eric's coming along.
Let's see.
How's it coming, Eric? And I said speaking of which because when I think of people that worry way too much.
Do we know anybody that fits that category?
You have 3 guesses in the first 2 minutes.
As we move to camera 3, Eric, how are you?
Looking really good so far, Eric. It's looking great.
Yeah, some lines work really well, and like Klaus was mentioning, doing an arc. That's when things start falling apart. But breaking it up into segments of lines
Cranberry.
is a whole lot easier, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started on rice. Yeah, live
It's
your
actually
life,
fun.
Cranberry. Live your
It's
life.
Very tactile.
Oh, great.
Really, really enjoyable.
Fun is the word, Eric. If you're not having fun, then really,
There are
what's
worse
the point?
ways to die than by eating too much rice. So
Well, yeah.
David knows me too well.
And they're
making me feel bad about laying
when you really
incorrectly on your bed.
What's that, Dave?
Would you say that never happens?
Oh, sure. Of course. Yeah, of course. There were some series that I did, I don't want to mention any names, but where I thought like by the last 2 or 3 issues, I am going to die. I'm just going to die right now. And I don't know how I finished, those last 2 or 3 issues, because that's a lot of pages. That's like, 60 pages. And you just, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll say it anyways. I heard this story anecdotally that there was a publisher who wanted a 20-page story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And asked all of the top artists in the UK. I think it was a British publisher. And all the top artists are like, 50, 60, and 70. And they all said, no, I can't. I don't have the energy anymore. I can't do 20 pages. 5 pages, 6 pages, And I feel like I'm almost in that category. It's like, oh my God, 20 pages? Are you kidding me? That takes forever.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, it can be a month, but to do that, you sacrifice everything else that you value in your life. That's just is what it is. And I've done years of that. And I don't know that I want to ever do that again.
So you've actually felt that you've sacrificed?
Yeah, I've sacrificed my health at times. You know what? Can I really even say that? I'm not the most healthy right now, and I'm working so slowly. So I guess I could probably fit in a little more exercise. Time with family. I've had times when it's dinner time, and I'll come up for that, but then I just need to go right back downstairs and work, and I'm not spending time with the kids. I'm missing, sports, that kind of thing, things that they do regularly. I really tried not to completely, check out of things, but there have just been times when I've just had to choose a deadline. So it's nice to not really have to make that choice anymore.
There's something that I will tell young artists, young writers, which hits that point exactly, David. And most of the kids that I tell this to don't like it. So I have this feeling and it's sort of like falls into the category of like physics or reality, or this is science and this is the way life works, which is that if you want something, you're going to have to give up something. And I don't know if that's really true, but it's been true for me. That if you really want something, you're going to have to stop playing video games as much. Let's say that, right? Or you're going to have to, you know, I can't imagine giving up a meal because that's really, you know, unhealthy. But at a certain point, you don't want to do that anymore, right?
Yeah, at a certain point. Well, and ideally, what I don't want to do is ever make the decision that trying to do my best work is not worth it. Maybe doing less work, sure, but I always want it to be as good as possible, and I really try and keep that in mind, because it is. There are times I don't want to do it, and I'm not really prone to depression, you know, but I swear I feel almost depressed sometimes having to work on things that I don't
See you
want to
later,
do.
Lindsay Rose.
It just happens, whatever project I'm
Have a
on.
good evening.
And I really try hard to not. The one thing I don't want to
that's what
sacrifice
rights
is
are
quality,
is.
because once you start doing that, in my experience, I think there's no coming back from that. It just seems like so many, and I have seen this, where things start to slack, and then there's just, it's like almost no road back. I don't know. I think it's just a fear that I have.
Rocky, check out these art photos
think
from the
that's
Band
a
of Crow
fear that
first
we
look
all
preview.
have.
Okay, I will. Mark, let me
That, you know, you start to slack and then there's no way back.
How do I get?
Yeah.
But if it's worth anything, I found that you can come back.
Step back, back it up. Back it up, back it up, back it up.
So I have to admit that I expected actually quite a bit more brush up to this point. And I knew...
Yeah, you're right. I think normally I would.
So
I'm
why
kind
do
of
you
just,
think
I'm just having fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got a question, class.
Sure.
I've seen, I think it was Richard Friend, who's also fantastic inker, inking with a nib.
Right.
Where
Well, those are cool,
he would,
Mark. Cool
pull
images.
the nib, in,
Nice.
basically where the little tens are, he would pull to drag the tens versus
I love that first one.
side to side.
Sure.
What do you recommend? Getting a strong, confident line. Are you lining the tens up with the direction of your movement? Or?
Yeah, I think my general direction is from left to right. I'm right-handed.
Right. Oh yeah.
So my general direction of a line would go from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one would be from top to bottom.
Oh really?
And
Me,
I
it's
don't
bottom to
know, honestly, Eric, if there's a third. I think that might cover it. Go ahead, you were going to say something.
Gotcha. I don't know if tens is the right word. I'm sure there's proper terminology, but the the pieces of metal that splay open. I was just wondering, and I was just wondering, how you manage that. Do you drag the quill a certain way, just because of the way the quill is built?
I try to get, and tell me if I'm not addressing the question, but I try to get. I think that the shorter the line, the more apt I am to use a nib. And so if I'm nibbing, and most of the lines are pretty short. The nib, the brush is much better in terms of dealing with longer line. But in terms of, opening up the nib and splitting it open, because that's what you're talking about, right, Eric?
Yeah.
I would do that. I would open up the nib so that, you know, a blob of ink or a heavier line is produced at the end of the stroke. So I try not to do it at the beginning, although of course you whatever works. But I think, you know, in thinking about it, I'll press down harder at the end of the stroke. But whatever works.
That's the rule I'm getting. At the end of the day, it's whatever works.
You know, ruin your nib by doing that much faster, because it loses its flexibility from being opened all the time. And the other option is, you know, what we were talking about before was doing 2 or 3 strokes on top of the line to thicken it. So you don't have to press down hard to open the nib. You can avoid that. Eric, do you like the effect that you get when you open the nib? Or, I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, first of all, I don't have that control very, very much, you know, at the end of the stroke. But yeah, I mean, you know, getting a thicker line, being able to vary the line weight with the nib is great. I just got to learn to be able to, you know, control that properly, and I'm sure that comes with, you know, many years of practice.
Nice.
But,
it does.
That's awesome. I'll check out that campaign, Mark.
I'm curious, and when you need a thicker line.
The artist's name is Oren. He lives in and is from Malaysia. Cool.
Me,
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, I just pushed down a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, but why would you use a thicker line? What is the purpose of a thicker line?
Well, if you're, you know, if your curve or line is away from the line, or if you know, want to shape it a bit more towards where 2 lines meet. You know,
right. So you're starting to deal with the line as a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm glad you got that question, Eric, because I was thinking, oh no, I'm not sure what I would say right now. I went blank.
Do you agree, David?
I totally agree. Absolutely, yeah. And I want to say that's what I would have said too, but yeah, I went blank right there. So.
Okay, because now I'm blank.
Spreading.
I find, you know, the and again, I might be just, you know, blabbering. Okay, I got to stop saying that. But I find that one of the words that covers a lot of territory in executing, drawing, and storytelling, and laying out a page and inking is the word contrast. You know, thin lines against thick lines. The relationship that's created when you have a thick line next to a thin line, or a thin line meeting a thick line, or just the energy that's created by the relationship of thin and thick, black and white, big and small, fast and slow. Just that synergy that's created by the word contrast, you know, by keeping that in mind, is absolutely foundational to me. You know, big panels against little panels. That whole notion of not being monochromatic is incredibly a really big part of what I try to do, or what I try to do, what I think about when I'm working.
I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Before I forget,
tell me.
We had a couple of super chats here, and we have Alice McGlone, who says, "Sounds like Klaus is invoking Newton's third law." And I'm a little late with that, Allison, so I'm so sorry. I can't remember what it was. When I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And now I've forgotten.
Maybe it was the if you want something, you have to give up something.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Perfect. That's exactly right. Yeah. And we have a super chat from Hella Metal for $5. He says, Klaus, I learned so much from you and Carl Potts. I'm still doing comics. My favorite lesson was learning to tell an entire story in one pen.
Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster. Because whether it's the dribbles or the drip, the NBA is always better.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Carl is a good teacher.
So does he also teach? I didn't know that.
He teaches at SVA, yeah. And I don't anymore. I stopped.
Oh, really? How long ago?
It's been 2 years now. I did 30 years.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, it's a very good run. It's a long run.
I thought it was a good run.
Yeah.
I had some, okay, and I'm gonna, name drop. I had some really, really good students, and then I had some really, really shitty students. And I thought, okay, let me stop with the good students. I had James Heron as a student. I had Ian Bertram as a student.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I had Paul Kaminsky, who edits the Superman line. I mean, just a whole bunch of really good students. What's Isaac Goodhart, who's doing excellent work with James Tinian. So I thought, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah, Paul Kaminsky. I worked for him. I want to say at Marvel. I think he was at Marvel for a bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know I've worked for him. I've worked at both places. So.
Yes, of course, yeah. Which is a good thing, by the way. So if anybody ever doubts, about working for two companies at the same time or going back and forth, I think it's a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah, oh, for sure, it is. And
tell me why you agree, David. What was your experience? Tell me.
Well,
I love how
I worked at
questions is
Marvel
like, tell me.
exclusively for a long time,
right?
For almost 10 years, and then I worked at DC exclusively. And I was very nervous going to DC. I never really worked for him, and I just didn't know what to expect. I found that it's ultimately all comic fans. It's people that love the medium. Right. The editors. Actually, my first editor was Mike Marks, and he was my first editor at Marvel also. So, yeah, it's like coming home. He had gone to DC a little while ago, so it really didn't feel very different at all. I'm sure there are different corporate cultures, maybe in the office, but in terms of how they dealt with the talent, they're both great. They kind of become your therapist a little bit.
If they're good.
If they're good, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a few editors that would dread me calling, oh no, here we go, I'm going to deal with this guy's issue now. But if they felt that, they never let on. They were all great.
Hey, it's part of the job, you know. There is a lot of hand-holding that is required, some more than others, right? But it's all part of the mix. It's all fun. It's all interesting. And it really is. I have not lost my affection for the medium and the people within it.
What made you decide to go into comics in the first place?
Good question.
I came to this country when I was 5 years old. So I was born in Germany, and we emigrated, and so I was 5, and I couldn't speak the language. Why would I be able to, right?
Sure, yeah.
That's hilarious.
What happened was, I think we landed. We came over by a boat.
I can't place his accent. And then David Finn sounds like he's from the Midwest or something.
I'm getting flashes of the boat. The ship, was a ship. I think it was June when we arrived, and I discovered at literally a mom and pop shop down the street from the apartment that we lived in. They sold cigars, rubber bands, right? Envelopes for your mail, like stuff like candy.
Yeah.
and comics. And so I picked one up. They were a dime at that point. It was 57, 58.
Was a dime a lot of money then? Did it feel, because comics are expensive now. Like, I know that money has changed, but they feel expensive.
They are expensive now. They're outrageously expensive. I think that might be another discussion, but I'm not sure that's helping us. But I learned how to read and write and speak English by reading comics, and I was able to put the words together with the pictures. So I would look at the picture, and back then the writing was always redundant. So if Superman was flying, it would say Superman is flying, and so I was able to piece the language together by that. And by the time I went to first grade, I was pretty verbal, but
only in comic language.
And Jim Lee talks about this too, as he immigrated. I think.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I've read interviews, and I think at the same age, 5. I might be mistaken, but he had the same experience. And by putting the language, the words together with the images, it left such a profound impact on me, and I grew to appreciate the power of images. From an outsider's point of view. So when I teach, say, storytelling, it's very, very specific.
David Alessia, what's up? Holy crap, David Finch. Hola, y'all. And Klaus Jansen. It's a dynamic duo right now. Pretty awesome.
You want to have a specific meaning.
We're just watching them
and I've seen some
as they ink while I'm inking.
Some of your videos, David, and you talk about, how important composition is, and the medium shot or the far shot, or, whatever, and the meaning behind it, excuse me, is just absolutely critical.
It absolutely is. It really is, and it's such an easy skill to overlook. It's so difficult, figure drawing, and inking, and what we're doing now. I'm definitely finding this a challenge. I'm enjoying it, but it is so much more difficult for me working with a quill.
Okay, back to my crayons.
But I just talked myself into a corner. I forgot what I was saying.
No, we were talking about.
Right, yeah. Storytelling and backgrounds, I find, are two skills that tend to get left by the wayside, and they're so vital. Backgrounds, because it gives everything context, and storytelling, obviously, because it's a storytelling medium. We're telling stories. It's not just pretty pictures. And ideally, you work a lot with John Romita Jr. Another artist that really strikes me the same way is Greg Capullo. They are both artists that I can't look at their work and not start to read the story. And it's not always the case. There are times I'll love the art, but it doesn't actually really start to draw me into the story. Whereas with those guys, I end up reading it because I don't have to read the words to really kind of read it.
I totally agree with you.
So
what is interesting? Go ahead, David. No, please go.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask. I'm spinning this all over the place in order to make this work because there are a limited couple of degrees where I can make this pen work. I've noticed the whole time you've been working, you really haven't had to spin that at all.
I think I generally spin more than I do right now, and I have a limited space right now. This isn't my usual desk that I work on. So I'm just trying to meet the situation as it is, right? But by the way, that looks great. I just looked up, and that looks great, David.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know when I should really start filling in blacks.
Now.
Okay, I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah.
Because I'm finding it really awkward the way that I'm.
Yeah. No, I think you
When
don't
Klaus
need
Janson tells you to
outline
fill
the
in blacks
you know,
now,
like
you better fill in
with
blacks.
a line. You outline it with your brush.
See, I should have done that from the start.
No, it's not too late. It looks great. I love that tree. That is going to be really awesome.
Thank you. I'm going to avoid a bunch of it because we only have so much time, but I do actually. I did the tree because I have a very specific question about a lot of this here and how you would approach this kind of like small, kind of mossy sort of a thing. I wanted to. It's a really interesting texture.
It's a good question. You know what I'm just thinking. On my feet, I probably would try a split brush with the moss. See if that works. Maybe a little dry brush, a split dry brush or something, just to get a little texture in there. But it looks super.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to trying the brush, trying to split. I've never done that. I'm such a penciler, and I've been doing that for so many years that inking, it tends to be really dominated by just my sense of pencil. So I don't really venture out much with it. Whoops.
Well, you're a very strong penciler. Do you agree?
Thank you.
Do you agree?
Definitely stronger than inking. I'll say that.
Who's inked you?
Scott Williams. You have.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Now, it's a long, long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd actually even remember at all. It was one page, and I couldn't believe it. So I was drawing Cyberforce, and they managed to get you to ink a page, and they didn't tell me until you would agree to it. And I didn't know you, so it's not like I could call and say, "Oh, thanks," and you wouldn't know who I was anyway. But you did. Did it, and it was incredible. So
that's kind of
anything you've learned from the stream so far, Rocky?
Nice. I think I would do
yeah,
a much
I mean,
better
like
job now. But I appreciate what you're saying. I do. I really
hold on, let me pause it. So
Yeah.
I can think. I mean, it's just great to hear masters kind of ask the same questions a lot of artists ask, and I joke every time Klaus Janson says it, but when he says like whatever works, I totally agree with that, and I've seen that in my experience as an artist and as a working artist. Sometimes you can copy you can use the same tools, all the same techniques, and it just doesn't do what you need it to do. How it might work for somebody else. And sometimes you just got to figure out what works right for you, because you could get the same brush, get the same ink, but my hand control is different than Klaus Janson's hand control. How I see the artwork is different than he does. So just because it works for him and his hand size, his steadiness with his hand, or even the way his eye translates things to his hand, to the paper, totally different from me. So it might not work the same way that it does for him. But it's just cool. It's just cool to hear them talk about in real time, like how they would approach things, and just even the little technical things of how he's cleaning the brush on that terry cloth, or the cloth with texture, was great. And I love the breaking up the style of breaking up round forms with like 3 lines or whatever. That's cool. Really cool. Yeah, it's weird hearing them and finding they're normal people. Yeah. And that's the beauty of these kind of streams, and just finding artists that you admire. I love watching Daniel Warren Johnson's streams. He's so relatable and so easygoing, but yet he produces like the most phenomenal work, and you're just seeing it like come to life on stream. So I watch his Friday streams from time to time. They're super inspiring. But yeah, it's just awesome. Just like you said, just a normal person. And I also love hearing how some artists like Klaus Janson, like David Finch, like they really appreciate their audience and hearing from their audience and knowing that their audience is paying attention and dang, I just made it. Gotta make a correction there. How their audience, hearing from the audience appreciate their work means a lot to them. That's great. Sometimes you meet like a jerky artist though, and you're like, dude, I'm just giving you your props. It's almost like no excuse, right? Okay, let's see. Gonna have to go back in here with some. I can do that too while we're streaming. And go back in with some white because I got to do a couple correction spots here, but also back with this like shine stuff. It's easier to do it using white paint instead of trying to draw the negative space in black. Pretty much done with this. Other than that though, pretty much done with this Electra panel. How about it? Oh wait, I forgot her bottom lashes here. There we go. All right, cool. Let me clean. I'm going to clean my brush and my water and my ink well, and then I'll do a little bit of white touch up here. I'll let the stream play. Hopefully you don't run into a commercial while I'm doing it, but I'll be right back. I'll let the stream play.
A very distinctive style.
Oh, well, thank you.
Have people told you that that is beneficial to your career to have a distinctive style?
Yes, I think it can cut a couple of ways. I think it is very beneficial, but it also, you run the risk of, if you have a very specific style that starts to deviate too far from kind of the norms that fans expect, it can start to really hurt. So my style is pretty mainstream. So I haven't really had that problem. And that's why I'm always reluctant to just say, oh, just go crazy trying to find a style and do, whatever. It's important to, if you want to do comics, if you want to just be a fine artist or go in a different avenue, I think for comics, though, it's very helpful to do something that fans can relate to, ideally.
Do you feel that you're conscious of that as you're working? I mean, I would think you are, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and conscious of it when I'm kind of picking the artists that I really want to be influenced by, which is constantly. I do that all the time, and then I think to myself, am I just like a corporate sellout? Because I'm doing that. And that's a question, and I'd say it's a legitimate enough question.
Is that something that worries you, David?
Yes, but then I think to myself, you know what? I remember who I was when I was young, and I decided I wanted to do this for a living.
Yeah.
And the kind of art that I wanted to do, and that is the kind of art I wanted to do. So if that makes me so, it's fine. It's what I wanted. So I do feel like it's helpful for me to kind of keep that barometer in my head, even making choices about influences.
Who are your influences?
Mark Silvestri is my biggest one, and my teacher. All of the Image guys, the Kuberts, both Kubert brothers are huge for me. Lee Weeks, I'm a huge fan. Alan Davis is, and I'm talking about especially early influences. Alan Davis is a big one for me.
You're keeping tabs on me.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
Then Travis Trest, who hasn't done a lot of work for a long time, but is a genius. Dale Keown, he did Hulk years and years ago in Pit. I don't know if you're familiar.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, incredible artist. Chris Pacello. We were talking actually. I think before the stream started, we were talking about Chris Pacello. He's yeah. It's a long list, and it starts.
Looks great. I'm guessing the difference in the lips is
I think
partially due to the print quality art. Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
I don't know.
I do have to.
Do you look at a lot of different artists,
tighten a couple a little. It's like a little mushy here because of the
So who would you say-
blow up on the art.
And this is your show. So who are your influences?
But I got to clean that up a little bit too. Oh, they're talking about influences.
You know, I
Cool.
think that the stuff that's in my DNA is the stuff that I looked at when I was a kid. So it's, Wally Wood. The way he handled blacks, the way he handled wrinkles, clothing. They're very, very specific things that I picked from these people. I have the pupils of eyes. When I do eyes, it's Wally Wood. There's one reflection, and then there's the black pupil, and a shadow on top. That's absolutely Wally Wood. But Steve Ditko and Neil Adams and Milton Caniff. Later, I discovered Milton Caniff and people like Frank Robbins. And
Frank Robbins is awesome.
I try to take a little bit from everybody. Dick Giordano, of course. And later, as an adult, I love Chris Pacello. I love Stuart Immonen. I think Stuart Immonen, his run on X-Men was just extraordinary.
Oh yeah, he's like the quintessential. I don't even know. He does everything so incredibly well. Everything is just perfect. He's one of those artists. I feel like Jim Lee is like that too, where his form.
Jim
Jim
is
perfect.
Yeah, Jim is amazing. Jim can do anything.
Yeah.
So, and he has, he's got all these different inking styles too, which is really fun to look at because he often relies on texture or introduces a lot of texture, which I think Scott doesn't do as much or doesn't feel comfortable doing. I'm not sure. But Jim is amazing. He is truly.
Yeah, Scott Williams' inking has actually really changed lately, and he's gotten much more less bold lined and more textural, I think, with his stuff. And it's not, the kind of more like I think of Dennis Cowan for an artist, or Bill Sienkiewicz, where it's just really like beautiful.
I just totally boofed that
line. It's not like that. It's still very, very clean. Scott Williams is the master of clean line.
Yes, that's right.
But it's a very different look. And
are you talking about the stuff he inks over his own pencils, or?
Yes, but also Jim Lee. Lately, I've seen that quite a bit. Actually, it's been changing, and he's been trying some different things. When he inked me, he was using a brush almost entirely, and he had switched actually from a quill to a brush, and he was able to still get the same aesthetic.
That's crazy.
So much control.
I always thought.
Yes, he does. I agree.
Scott Williams was
and
purely
nowadays, he's using mostly tech pens, and apparently he was doing that because he was having back trouble.
Ugh.
Right.
And so he started working reclined, and that makes it really difficult. That's part of the reason why I use tech pens too. Well, they're easier for me too, but I don't have an inkwell on a desk when I'm working, so.
And of course neither.
Oh my
does
gosh,
Scott,
guys!
because
Right,
he's
yeah.
I just realized this whole time I've been
that's
inking
really, I think,
with
caused
the wrong
biggest change
brush.
in the way he works. It's always interesting.
No
to see
wonder
an
why
artist's
it was
style
feeling
change,
a
not
little
really
weird.
Even so much for.
The whole time I was inking with my it's a Blick brush. It's a sable brush as well, but it's like my brush to fill in large black areas. And I wasn't using my Winsor Newton brush at all. And I was like, why does this feel like the hairs keep splitting? Well, that's no wonder why I didn't get as clean lines as I thought I was going to get. Shoot. Well, it turned out better than I thought using this brush. If I do say so myself. That's hilarious and stupid. Strange not having the derailer and ninja harassing Rocky. Yeah, it's nice. It's quiet. It's nice and quiet here. That's so funny that I didn't use the right brush. Okay, so then what does that mean? That means I'm going to use a tech pen. Speaking of tech pens, not this one. I'm going to use 0.3. Oh yeah. That's hilarious that I was using the wrong brush.
Influences or a creative direction, but just necessity. And
Right.
then to see an artist do something so great with it, you know.
I admire what Scott has done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, there are some artists, you know, that I know that have.
This may be the last ad you ever see. Because with the free
That have
ad block
what,
extension
Klaus? That
from
have
Capital
what? Okay.
Stopped because of, you know, difficulty was with their back or whatever, you know, physical.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to hand it to him.
Some of the line that you're doing just with the rendering, and you're kind of working on blacks right now, but looking at the line,
Right.
it has like a, it's not just a line. It's you know what? Here, I'm going to try and do it here, and I can't do it. So, and I've got a brush, but just to give you an idea of what I mean.
Sure.
So you'll have like a line here. You know what? Let me try and do it this way. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh, you mean as it gets heavier as it goes?
What I mean is that the lines kind of come out like that, but then also even kind of connect and create like an interesting shape under the. I've never been able to pull it off. I can't do it so badly you can't even tell what I'm trying to show you. But I see it quite a bit in what you're doing, and that's just it's such a. I want to say it's such an image technique.
Thanks.
But you know, it's obviously a Klaus technique that became an image technique.
You think it became an image technique?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and well, you could see it in Dark Knight. You could see it in a lot of the work that you did, you know, prior to that whole era.
Huh. You know, half the time, and I think you probably would agree with that. You know, half the time, we don't know what the hell we're doing, and then we just understand it later.
Yeah.
Which goes to like whatever
yeah, and,
works because I don't know what I'm doing.
of-
That's very
of,
true.
Other people, you know.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Let's see how Eric's coming along here. His is upside down right now.
I don't want to smudge ink.
Yeah, it's too late for me. I've already done that a bunch.
And
That's good, Eric.
since I just cannot render, I don't know if I'm gonna even attempt.
Are you gonna not put any rendering on there?
Dave, I'm so bad at that.
Oh, you gotta try it.
Just do it, Eric. Come
Yeah,
on,
you
get
gotta
in
go
there.
for it. That's what we're here for.
All right. I will say, inking with a brush, I'm noticing that the blacks lay down so much better than the inking tools that David and I use. I don't know if you've noticed that, Dave. It's just so much more flat.
Yes, they're much better tools. They just are. I just find now. I'm sure you wouldn't agree that they're more difficult, Klaus. Obviously, because you've been doing it for so long, and you know what you're doing. But just from an amateur artist or an artist that hasn't inked as much perspective coming in, they are much more difficult. And I just have not put the time in to really get as comfortable as I should.
Well, you're right about the fact that it takes time.
Yeah.
And I think people should be, aware of that it does take time. You know, we live in an age of immediate gratification, right? You know,
Yes.
so learning something and I mean, I have the same problem.
Cool.
You know, I'd love to learn the piano. You know, but you know, if I can't play a song by the second week, forget it. You know, it's like I get impatient. So you know, you just have to kind of work on that.
That's exactly how I learned guitar.
What was that? What was that?
I didn't. I tried it. I bought a guitar and everything, a nice one, because you know you got to go all out. And
Rocky, do
I
me a
played
solid
for
and stream
less
longer
a
than
week.
20 minutes. I'll be
done.
off the hook by then. I'll be able to hang it.
You were done.
That was it.
I don't
Good
know.
enough.
How far
I don't
did
know
you
if I
get?
can.
Do you know your chords?
Depends on dinner time. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I can do a power chord.
We'll see. We'll see.
know what
We'll
I
see
mean?
how long I
The-
can hang out.
That's like the.
But I
you know,
did finish the
simple
piano. I
heavy
guess
metal
I'll go
chord.
ahead and work on this
Sure.
bottom.
So I can do that one, and that really is it. And I
Yeah, we
learned how to
finished this
play,
middle one already. Pretty cool.
Smoke on the Water, you know.
Even though I was inking with the wrong
Don't,
brush.
Don't. You know, that's all I
That's
ever had.
what. That's 3 chords, right?
Yep, that was it.
The song that is banned in all guitar centers across the U.S.
Well, that one in Stairway, I guess. Yeah, I never had to worry about playing Stairway. Samuel Reyes has a super chat for $5. He says it's great to see Klaus as a guest. You're both big inspiration of mine, Dave. Whoops. I call what I think you're talking about hatching with zigzags. Yeah, you know, I think that's as good a name as any, absolutely. And certainly a better name than I had for it. I'm trying to describe it and draw it, and I just can't pull it off. But I know
in
what I
terms
mean.
of that what you were drawing, what you were inking there. Uh-huh.
Grammarly doesn't just help you with polishing your emails, it also lessens the mental load of replying to emails. When you start replying to an email, click this button to tag in.
Yeah, Comrade Sammy. Looking forward to how you'll be doing that third panel. Yeah, me too. So many figures in that third
You've
panel.
gone quiet. Maybe my. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, we just went quiet. I thought, oh no, did I lose my sound?
Yeah, we're just being studious.
Yeah. Well, I have to admit, I'm much more used to when I'm working. I kind of get lost in my own head, and I don't talk as much, you know. So it's
Do you
always.
listen to anything while you're working, David?
I watch the most salacious trash on TV.
You're
right now-
a reality person, a reality.
Oh
TV?
yeah. If it's terrible, that's what I'll watch. Yeah, I'm watching YouTube right now. Not right now.
Right,
but,
right.
And there is basically it's court TV essentially, and it is people going in for traffic tickets that won't even admit that they're alive. You know, like they won't even admit to their name. And the chaos that ensues, and I sit there watching. I think I'm getting stupider. And why am I doing this? But I do it. So yeah.
And you can do that while you're working.
Yep.
You can do that while you're working on any part of your art, or
No, I can't do that when I'm doing layouts.
That's right. Yeah. That's
Anything
what
else though?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I find the same thing. If I'm doing layouts, I have to have complete silence. You know,
Yeah.
I can't. Why do you think that is? I mean, I think it's because it's so important and it's so difficult.
You know, I have tried writing before, which is incredibly difficult.
Yes, I agree.
And I can't listen to anything. It has to be dead silent. And layouts are the same. So it must be kind of using maybe a similar part of the brain.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting to, realize that. And I used to fight it because, I like music, or like the TV is on all day, I'm watching the news or whatever. But you got to turn it off. And maybe that's what you have to give up. If you want something, you have to give up TV, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's an easy, bargain to uphold.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it really is.
I'm fascinated by trash TV. I have a friend who's he and his wife. They have 2 kids, and the 2 kids are driving them crazy, right? All day, it's just the kids all day. Kids. So after they go to bed, the kids, they're 4 and 1, right? So they're really tough right now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I watch squirrel
the
videos.
2 of them sit on the couch and they watch
Nice.
Love is Blind or The Housewives of Bel Air or
That's
whatever.
awesome.
Yep.
And it's just completely relaxing. It absolutely works for them.
Well, I feel a little better. I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say I listen to nothing but Mozart.
No, not at all. No. What are your musical tastes, David? Do you have?
I do. I like just about everything. I go through phases where I really like heavy metal, like really heavy, but I can't do that for too long. It starts to get a little oppressive. So right now I'm in a Nirvana phase again, probably like the 4th time in my life. I'm listening to a lot of, so that's a big one, and that was big when I was young. So and then 70s music, especially I like Captain and Tennille and some of the really slow stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just makes me happy. So I like a lot of that stuff.
And so, do you have it on your playlist, or
Yeah,
do you yeah?
I've got a couple of different. They tend to not go together, so I've got a few different playlists just for different moods, I guess. I'm sure that's a lot of people.
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course, absolutely. It's whatever occasion there is, you have to find the right mood music or the right music for your mood, right?
I was listening to nothing but heavy metal riding my motorcycle, which is great. It's exhilarating. But next thing you know, I'm, going a little fast, and it's not.
Whoa. What just happened?
Not healthy. So that's actually now when I'm on my motorcycle, I almost exclusively listen to like really slow, like Cat Stevens. Love Cat Stevens.
He's good. Yeah, he's.
Is he dead?
No, he's good.
He's
not.
dead.
No, he's not dead. As a matter of fact, he reworked some of his old songs. Under the, I think he's using a Muslim name.
He is. I know that.
Believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Now I can't remember what it is, but.
Right.
But yes. Yeah, I love his stuff. The problem is that I do a lot of group riding, and so I'm fine when we're moving. But when we slow down, I have to crank it right down because I can't have that playing when I pull to a stop.
Right.
That would be the end of it for me. They'd kick me out.
I didn't know that you ride a motorcycle. That's kind of badass.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I ride like a chicken, first of all, and I'm
well,
always up there.
I don't know what that means because never having seen a chicken ride a motorcycle, but sure.
Yeah, I ride like I don't want to get killed on a motorcycle.
Well, you don't.
Yeah,
right?
I really don't.
You don't want to get killed.
You don't.
So yeah, I try to be very careful, and I'm always, for the most part, out in the country, which I heard statistically can be more dangerous than the city. But where we are, it's very, very flat and open farmland, so it's pretty safe.
You live on a farm, don't you, David?
Yeah.
Where did you live on a farm when you were a kid?
Oh no, this is all Meredith, my wife. It's all her doing. I never would have done it, and I'm glad. I love it, but yeah, she grew up on a farm, so.
I have no problems believing that you love it.
Yeah, it's great, and it actually does keep me healthy. I get out more and
thanks, Cran.
Singing hay bales and.
Yeah, this is pretty chill, but it's good.
It
I
is
get to
very
lost,
good. I agree.
Get work done.
Do you
don't
have
have to
animals?
talk.
Yes, we've got 10 horses.
Let other people talk for
3
once.
sheep, and we've got 15 chickens.
Oh, 10 horses?
Yeah, and cats and dogs, but yeah, it's a lot.
Is it, do you have help also? Or
Yes,
yeah, because I think that's a lot, right?
it's a lot actually. Meredith really does most of it still. We do have help, but she's out there all day. It's really what she does. So,
it's a good life, though.
it is, I keep thinking like she's so crazy for doing it, and I swear she's miserable half the time, but
You mean just because it's a lot of labor, is what
right, but she would never give it up, and I'm miserable doing this half the time. I think when you do what you love, it doesn't necessarily mean you always love it, right?
So the old adage, "Misery loves company," is
You do what you
kind of,
love doesn't mean you
appropriate here? Is
always
that what
love
you're
it.
saying?
That's great.
So, yeah.
Hey, whatever works, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this is much easier doing what I'm doing right now, which is just
You mean-
filling in blacks using the brush, which is much more how I'm comfortable.
Yeah, and you're getting. Look at the juicy line that you've got.
I have more control. Certainly, there's no argument. I have so much more control over this than what I normally use, which is a. Let's see, I've got one here. It's this thing here, and this is a.
That's a Is that a refillable?
Yeah, well, the end comes off, so it's not. What? I think you can refill this. I'm not sure, but I just buy new ones and put these on. But it's a synthetic. They work well. But
I've seen
you
a lot
can't
of
get
people
the
do
same
that.
Kind of subtlety.
And they just dip it.
Do you think we've
Instead of
do you think
refill
we've
it.
lost something through the I don't know, the advance of digital or moving away from, say, the traditional, because brush and nib are the traditional, really, aren't they? I mean, even
They
before
are.
comics were invented.
Yeah, they really are. We've definitely lost something from most artists moving away from that, and I hate to admit that I'm one of the artists that has kind of done that, but and then digital, and there's so many things you can do with digital, things that can't be done any other way, and I think it's great that way, but you also lose something. So yeah, you know what,
Oh, I know what you're thinking.
Ugh.
Has Lucky Auntie gone crazy? I just didn't.
I tell Meredith this sometimes, my wife. In a lot of ways, I wish I could have been an artist in like the 50s or 60s or a different era when everything was traditional. I love painting. It would have been great to maybe pursue a painting career or something. But a little more difficult now.
Is it? Is that the experience? Is that what you're finding, that it is a little more difficult? Because you were talking about wanting to do more painting.
I'd love to be able to do fantasy novel painting, but it's just not really something. The kind of painting like Frazetta sort of. I mean, who doesn't want to do that kind of work? I'm sure if you're Frank Frazetta, and unfortunately he's no longer with us, but I'm sure that he would be able to find something. But for the most part, that kind of work just isn't being done.
That's right. I was going to say that there is no venue for that.
Right. So yeah, it's a little sad. There's magic. There's a few things, but just not as much as there used to be. And now we have AI art, which scares me to death.
How do you feel about it, besides being frightened to death?
I feel like it doesn't matter how we feel. It's going to be what it is. It's just going to happen. I also feel, and I've talked to some collectors about this kind of recently, about how they feel about AI art, and does that take some of the joy out of original art for them and make them value it less? And hard for me to say because I'm an artist, so maybe they're being nice to me. But they pretty much universally say that no, and it actually makes them kind of value it more because it's just so much more difficult
that's what I
to
want
get
to hear.
something really truly handmade now.
More for traditional.
And there's still value in it.
In the handmade stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to believe that. I think that in a strange, quirky way, maybe in a much smaller way. When we started to letter digitally, so that the page could be inked without it being the balloons and the lettering actually on the page, it made, to me, those pages that were lettered on the art more valuable. I felt that they were more representative of the relationship between words and pictures and what comics is about, because comics is about the relationship between words and pictures.
Yeah, I've had more than one collector tell me before that they love buying original interior art, but they only buy older stuff because they like having the word balloons and that little bit of story and not having it hurts it. I've never done a page that's been hand lettered. I've been
That's
doing
amazing.
It for 30 years, and I just missed the analog era.
I think you did. You just you got cut off at the cutoff.
Yep. Never had a page colored traditionally the old way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's when I started. At Image Comics, and it was all it was all digital. So different era.
Yeah, but it's like you say, you gain something and you lose something. But I'll tell you what we didn't gain, which was the big selling point, was time. When all that digital happened and the new printing process was introduced, camera ready, all that stuff. Instead of making plates, they always said, "Oh, it's going to save so much time. You're going to be able to, go to the beach, and stuff." None of that was true.
No, it never is. It never is. They come up with these advances, and what it does is devalue the job. So now they just won't pay as much for it, and you end up having to do, more work. Yeah, and I found a lot of inkers nowadays. Now, what we're doing here is obviously not as common. Most comic inking nowadays is done on the computer, and it's really a penciler, inker, all in one job.
It's true. It is true.
And I don't know what rates are, so I don't want to just put my foot in my mouth, but I have a pretty good idea that they're probably paying essentially what they would have paid a penciler and then just saving on the inker.
I think that's roughly true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step back, back it up, back it up, back it up.
But it's also roughly true in the context of that rates have gone down, and they're just simply not paying enough for every discipline involved in comics, except coloring. I think coloring usually gets a pretty good rate. But penciling, go ahead, David.
Very difficult to replace colorists. Would you say pencilers are more effective than colorists, though?
I think that, the rates that I've been offered to pencil are less than what I was getting 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And it's kind of across the board. I mean, it's not just me. It's everybody.
I'm gonna go back to my brush here to
I kind of want to say, hey, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Why are we going backwards? I'm not quite sure I get that.
We've been really, really blessed as an industry to have artists from all around the world that we didn't have before, and it's helped the quality so much. But there always
am using the right brush
downside,
now.
and that is that there are just so many more artists to pick from. So they don't have to pick as much, and
that's right.
Supply and demand. So it's a reality.
That's exactly right. And artists who
that feels so much better than the brush I was using. I thought it was me.
For less money, and which are always going to be there.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, as you point out, just because of the internet and the ability to scan pages and send them in from anywhere.
Well, and we're so much more open to the whole world because everybody speaks the language now, which used to be a barrier, and it really just isn't. Which is, I mean, it's been great for the medium,
Yeah.
not for rates, but
Yeah, that's right. My feeling is it is what it is. You just have to deal with it. You have to figure it out.
Well, I will say though that original art has really bridged that gap quite a bit, especially if you're working, and this is why I so much advocate working analog the way that we are. Original art is worth much more than it ever was before, and it's only increasing.
And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
And it does make a big difference. As a matter of fact, most jobs that I do, that's my major consideration in terms of, now I try not to just plan what I do. Oh, I can sell the art and so I'll do this job.
Sure.
Do that a little bit, but I'm not reliant on the rate that I get paid. I'm more reliant on.
And I think I kind of picked this up along the way, but the advent of someone like Jim Lee really reinforced it, because not only is he a terrific artist, but he's also a very smart businessman.
Yeah.
And you have to have some capacity for both in order to succeed. You can't just expect, people to come knocking on your door and hiring you and giving you money, and you gotta.
That's
you
not
gotta
how it
work
works.
You gotta hustle.
Shoot. I'm in trouble.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but
Well, it's very, very true. Absolutely. And I think even if you're not a great businessman, just being somebody that people can rely on and can call and won't scream at them and, freak out, that goes a very long way.
well, that saying about you have to have those 3 qualities.
Yes. Yeah. And I've said that on the stream a couple of times. And there's a saying that definitely goes back.
It's
if
true.
you want to say it, because I'm sure, some people here have not heard that one.
Well, go ahead. You say it, David.
Okay. So there are 3 qualities, and one is being good, one is being on time, and the other is being likable. They can get along with you. And if you have any 2 of those 3, you'll do fine.
Good,
basically, is the
fast, and cheap. You got to pick 2.
And if you have all 3, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you'll be around for a long time.
Yeah.
And there are times I wonder, I look back at older eras and I see artists that I think are good, that I just don't know the name, and it just seems like they kind of came along and were just gone, and I don't know why. And I think sometimes people find a different profession, and then other times, maybe they only had one of those qualities, frankly.
Yes, I can think of a couple, and I can think of a couple who went into a different field, like storyboarding or working for Disney. Designing characters, right?
Is that something that's ever tempted you at all?
Not really. I think mostly because I never had the opportunity, and no one ever came up to me and said, "Hey, we want you to, design the next something." But also because comics has been really good to me, and I've managed to make a living. I can pay my bills and stuff like that, and so it satisfied me. You know what I mean? It kept on working, right?
And there's just no other business out there where you can go to a convention and people will know who you are and care, and
right.
That does mean a lot. It's a big deal for me, for sure. I mean, it's a performative job, and so the audience is so important, and to be able to actually have
I love how he calls that a performative job. That's great. I've never heard somebody say that
where
about
your audience is effectively
comic artists, but it's true.
That's right. And you're right about the performative part of the job. You're absolutely right. It's you have a connection with the audience. And by the way, part of succeeding, I think, in this business is not relying on just your page rate. It's doing commissions, it's selling your original art, it's hustling, it's figuring out what else can you do to augment livelihood.
Yes, which in my case, because I'm not a businessman, I'm very, very fortunate to have Jason Schachter at Essential Sequential. Shout out to Jason. I think we were thinking maybe he might come on tonight. He didn't come by, but
Son
yeah.
of a bitch.
Well,
Jason was in the chat earlier.
oh, was it? Oh, see, I didn't. Okay,
Yeah.
He was in.
Yeah.
we didn't even see him.
Okay.
That was pretty early on.
Speaking of the chat, we have a super chat from Osmosis for $10. Thank you so much. And he says, "Great having you guys inking and talking today. I'm thinking of building a portfolio for being a contract colorist." I'm running out of breath. Sorry. What medium is best to work with these days? I have tried both traditional.
It's too early for me to be this
skills.
sleepy. Sorry, Mark.
Now,
And I wasn't even
will
talking.
say, and,
I, for
if you
one,
wanna
can't
weigh in
claim
too,
sleepiness.
For coloring,
It is early.
It's really a digital
It is early.
medium.
Drink a couple of triple shot
if you're coloring
espressos,
someone else's
Mark.
work,
Yo, awesome one.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
How are you
There
doing?
have been
Am
colorists
I
that
double
have used
dipping on a
watercolor
video?
and
I am.
It's incredibly rare. I wouldn't really stake any kind of a career on that.
Triple dipping in a
truthfully.
sense because there's
So yeah, you really want to. No, it doesn't matter if you use
two
Photoshop
streams
or what
two
program.
cameras going on
Photoshop
in
is the one
David
that I know,
Finch's video.
But yeah, you'd really want to focus on digital, I think.
I agree. For coloring, yeah, it's digital all the way. Yeah. I was investigating, Blue Line. David, are you familiar with that?
The company, the paper, like the brand of paper.
The using coloring Blue Line. So, do I need to explain it? Should I?
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I don't know.
No, the Blue Line was the way Dark Knight Returns was colored, and some of the coloring that I did on different projects. And Blue Line means that the black original art is reproduced in blue, which does not reproduce. It does not print. The color light blue does not.
That's kind of what I
print.
do in my master studies.
And
once I finish the
so
pencils,
you can
I do the blue line.
on top of the blue line, the paper that has the blue line drawing that you've done originally in black, and then you put an acetate over it that is the black line, and the acetate is secured on top of the blue line that you colored, hand colored, and is printed that way. A photograph is taken, I believe, and then it's a complicated process, but that was how Dark Knight Returns was colored, and I think 300, Lynn Varley colored 300, and some of the other stuff. But I wanted to get back into hand coloring, and I asked around to see if anyone was doing Blue Line anymore, and they weren't. They were not. So I have to figure out a different way of hand color. But
Well,
go ahead, David.
I will say this. Now, inkers, I've done this quite a bit where I've been late sending in pencils or whatever, and inkers will actually ink with Blue Line. And so what you do is you just take your pencils, bring them into Photoshop, and just switch everything out to blue, which is very, very easy. You print that out, and you've got Blue Line.
Right. I'm thinking that there must be a way to augment the hand coloring with digital and make it work that way. But I haven't tried it yet. I want to get to it.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I could imagine a scenario where if you were coloring traditionally, some of those color plates could be worth quite a bit. Like there are Disney plates that are worth an absolute fortune. If they're done nicely, especially for the right project.
Well, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they really are. Incredible artists. I mean, there are such incredible colorists working in comics too.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and it makes a big difference between, you know, something that you actually like the way it looks.
Yeah. So Eric jumped in for a minute there, but I don't know, Eric, if you wouldn't mind jumping back in here, I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to do it to you because I want to see. So you're doing some rendering.
Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster. Because whether it's the dribbles or the drip, the NBA is always...
If you want to call it that. Yeah.
Let's see how much time we got. About 20 more minutes on this.
Okay, well, I know we don't have too much time. So that's looking really good,
Eric, it does. It looks really good.
That
Triple
rendering
dipping.
is
That's
really,
right. Giant
really
robots
working.
and God.
You're
Welcome.
cheating.
So annoying. Great video,
You know,
but can't keep
Eric,
listening to that
if
too
you're
much.
hesitant
Oh,
about
geez.
The rendering that
The
you're
layering.
doing,
Sorry.
I think
Oh,
what you're
sorry.
doing
No,
is
go check out.
completely works.
Go
It
watch
does.
it
And
separate
you know what,
from
if
my
you are more
stream on top. Just
comfortable,
watch the
bringing
pure
up
video
the-
as it is.
Like, and I agree with Klaus. Like, you have to ultimately.
But thanks for stopping by,
For a
Giant
piece that
Robot.
you want to be nice, you need to use
And
the tools
God.
that will get you there. So if
Yeah.
you're using, you know,
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be able to do this with a nib. There's no way.
it's a tough
Eric,
way to go.
are you interested in doing this as a career, or what? Or is this for fun, or what are you doing? I don't know. So pardon my
Yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to do full time. I've got a huge passion for painting, but really anything comic art is definitely something I'd like to do.
Well, it seems to me that you can.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, he's doing great stuff, and the painting stuff. Like we've really been exploring painting together, especially the two of us, and it's been a real journey. So it's been good for
It's
both.
fascinating. Yeah, I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Okay, just to announce, I'm done for the night. This is as far as I go.
Looking amazing.
I'm on strike. I'm gonna have my little iced tea here, and
All
I'm
right.
gonna relax. I'm gonna watch you guys. You ink pretty fast, David.
Well, thank you. It's definitely easier for me, I find, with a brush. So I feel like I've been kind of cheating a little bit too, because I did all this with a brush. So I'm at the point now where I want to do some of that texture.
I would have 4 streams up
And
at a time.
I feel like before we go,
Nice.
you mentioned a split brush. How do I do that?
You're using a pretty small brush, so it might be difficult to split it. But usually the way I split it is I will take a razor blade and just slide it into the brush so that it splits, not without damaging the brush, but making the brush, rather than having one point, it has 2 points, of course, right? So you can take a knife or any other, might work better, if the brush were
A little
thicker
bigger.
or bigger. Yeah, but
I'm gonna
I think
try it with this
you
and
can
see
get
what
it.
I
You can get it, yeah.
So I've got
And actually, that looks about right. And actually, if you combine that with a dry brush effect, I think you've got a pretty good texture that will stand out against the rest of the.
it hasn't even really dried out yet, but look at that.
Yeah. But I would show more of the split, right?
Okay.
Right, which means less ink.
Okay, yeah, I'm being a little.
That's
No,
cool.
you're,
That's a cool
you're
technique.
playing. You're experimenting. That looks pretty good. I like it.
Look at that. I'm coming at a different angle, and so it's a different effect than what I had here.
Yeah.
But I don't quite know what this should look like. So.
Mark's
I
got
know
a
what you're gonna
strong
say, though.
helping hand.
Pardon?
Nice.
Say it
I
again?
know what you're going to say, though. You're going to say, really, it's whatever you want to do. And
The ninja has had more than 20 minutes requested.
already know
Thank you,
what's
Mark.
coming.
I won't say that, but I'll let you
God,
say that.
I'm
I'll let you tell her.
predictable already. It's
I'm
Hey,
gonna see if I can get this just a little more dry. All right, here we go. It seemed dry, but
yeah, and brushes are they like to trick you.
yeah.
Yeah, you really gotta.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of this texture to do, so let's bring it over here, and
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, I can't keep ink on the brush when I need it. Now that I want it to dry out, forget
Yeah,
it.
no, it's absolutely true. You're absolutely right. Yeah. David, I get the feeling that your style is a very laborious. It's you have a style, that requires a lot of.
Empower your students to be more authentic, impactful writers with Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistant.
Patience. Am I wrong about that?
No, it's true. It can be very laborious. Yeah, that's the right word for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't use it as a pejorative.
Diet coffee. What's up? What's up to you, Ryan?
Because you know
It's actually a really good sculpt.
You feather quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit here that I haven't done any of that with, and it still needs to be done. But
so you would go back in normally and work some of that stuff over, add some feathering, or
oh yeah, quite a bit all through here. You can kind of see it in the pencils there still.
Yeah.
So I have quite a bit more than. And now, strictly speaking, I could leave it like that, I guess.
That's right.
But I like all the little lines, and I'm such an image comics. That's my roots, and it's what I love. And yeah, there are times I think, wow, why did I pick this?
I've tried to be simpler in my approach, and be more like, I don't know, Alex Toth or Tim Sale or someone like that,
Yeah, great artists.
And I just can't resist adding, texture and lines, and I there's something about lines that that I just particularly I love making them. I love looking at them.
Yeah,
I like the volume.
I love artists like Alex Toth, and Chris Samney is one that really comes to mind. Current artist that I think is incredible and very simple. I love it, but I do like all the little lines, and
I do too. Yeah, it's a curse, I think. Yeah, Stanley, his when he does his like one drawing a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it so annoys me.
Oh, Klaus is he's up on the.
He's just churning out
media
these
stuff.
Wonderful, designed and composed pieces, and he's doing them one a day. I can't believe it. And then he's clearly doing other work, besides just the.
Oh yeah. Well, I've heard his layouts are basically finished pencils, and I've also heard when he does his perspective, he fakes all of it, which
that's interesting.
Fairly common, I guess. I don't know. I can't fake it. I don't have the ability. I have to actually put in the points, or it just turns to mud. Whereas he can just put everything down. I think part of the reason why he's so fast. It's a great skill to have.
My theory is, and I have the same problem, David, where if I don't use perspective or the horizon line, right, and all of that, then it just falls apart.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it falls apart is because I put, and this is my current theory as of Thursday, right, today, because I've just put too much in the panel. And everything needs to, be aligned with perspective, and it's just too much. And I think Samney probably has figured out how not to put too much in the panel. No? What do you think?
I think that actually makes a huge amount of sense to me, because all the lines really do need to follow the perspective, or you break the illusion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think you're right.
I'm intrigued by the phrase forced perspective, because I think that, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. Do you? I get the feeling forced perspective is violating the stringent part of perspective. Cheating.
Well, that's the way I would understand it. So, within perspective, I'm going to, okay, so I know you know this, but just for you guys watching, if you don't know, so I've got a horizon here, and I'm going to put one point here and one point here, and I'm going to draw some lines out. I'm going to do my best without, I'm fighting the natural angle of my arm going that way.
Yes, I love Alex Toth too. Toth can do more with a few
and
lines
this is
than
all
most
fine,
artists can with the
because
That's
all of
right.
these diamonds are
simplified to
longer than
perfection.
they are deep. But once you start to go down here,
that's what it is.
Holy, forgive my terrible line there. And you start to get a diamond shape that is longer this way than it is wide.
Oh, really?
That would be like forced perspective, and that kind of.
Oof.
You don't see that in life. And I mean, I guess that would start to be behind you or whatever it is in your field of view. So it starts to look fake, but it also can look incredibly dynamic. Joe Quesada uses this kind of perspective so well in so much of his work, and it's wrong from everything that you learn, but it looks great. Every time I've tried it, it just looks wrong. So I stay away.
See, I think there's something to that, David. I think there's, the idea that it's very dynamic and very interesting. That I tend to be a conservative penciler.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about this before we went on, like in terms of page layouts or not using a diagonal panel, right? Because I would just never do that. But I think there's something about, forced perspective or using a diagonal panel or violating the very, how should I say it, the very exact theory about perspective, as an example, is something worth exploring. It's something that has value, and I think can lead to an interesting place.
I'll do better next time. Earn times your Ryan. Not the pop-up blocker or whatever.
For me.
I apologize.
I love that about his work, and I've always kind of stayed away, and I really should try and push it a little bit and see what I can get from it.
What job influenced you by Quesada? Do you remember?
I want to say everything, but
was it the Batman that he did with Denny O'Neil? That was inked by Kevin Nolan?
Yeah, it was so good.
By Kevin Nolan?
Azrael.
He did Azrael.
The Azrael, that's what I'm thinking.
And that was Kevin Nolan. Now, it was that, but the first one for me was X Factor. Because that's where I first found his work. It wasn't, I think it was a little later on.
We looked at those on stream before.
For him, but that's where I found it. And then from there, it was Azrael. And I still bring that book out all the time and use it all the time. It's like a essential reference book for me still.
So good.
And tell me what you see in there, if you don't mind me pressing her a little bit.
Well, there's
because I agree with you. I think Azrael was amazing. Yeah.
And this is all Joe Quesada, because now with so many of the inking jobs that you've done over the years, you actually are really responsible for a lot of the shadow and the drama and a lot of that stuff. And it's just not, especially years ago in the pencils, it's something that you were adding, and I think people are really not aware of that so much. But with Joe Quesada, he was very specific with his shadows, and he's great with it.
Yeah.
And I love the way that he arranged his shots that way. His anatomy, especially his legs, the way that he was constructing his knees and some of the muscles and the connections, and with Kevin Nolan, because Kevin Nolan was kind of softening his work a little bit, and maybe bringing out some of the shadows that Joe Quesada had a tendency to put shadows in the light a little bit heavily here and there. I'm criticizing Joe Quesada right now. Listen to me. But I think the two of them just made such an incredible artist. And the faces, the lighting on faces was... I've got a few Kevin Nolan books that are big for me that way, just for faces, and the combination of the two of them, because he was actually you can see a lot of Kevin Nolan, but you can see where he's really true to the Joker
Yeah.
side of stuff.
I agree. Yeah. Well, Kevin Nolan is an amazing talent. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
including his own pencils that he colors, which is kind of amazing.
We've got a couple of super chats here I don't want to miss. We've got
Sure.
Carbon Dioxide for $2. He says, Klaus is an awesome guest. Tonight's Batman rules. Yeah, it absolutely looks amazing. I love the textures in the cape.
Yeah.
And
That's been nice putting this black in here.
Most of all the
I just
little
spilled all this.
breaks are just created with a brush.
Yeah. And I would go in, I think, probably extend some of the cape here. I'm looking at it on screen, maybe lowering this. Do some spatter, just juice it up a little bit. But I think this is good enough to finish and work over a little bit. And, I'd be okay with this as a commission or something, or as just a piece. Yeah.
And we've been talking so much. I wanted to mention that while you can't talk about it, you're currently working on a Batman project. You can say that much. And so
that's right. But I can't say anything about it because DC would kill me.
Right. But I want to make sure you guys all know that Klaus is working on a Batman project, so look out for that. Also, you can find Klaus on Instagram.
Oh, I bet you he was working on
It is K Jansen NYC.
the
right.
Tim Sale
got
book
that on the top of the chat
last
too.
Halloween
So,
because Klaus
if you're not
Jansen had
following
that
Klaus,
issue.
be sure to find him on Instagram. And we'll finish with Jim Klein has a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Jim. He says, Klaus, thank you for joining the stream tonight. It's been a treat watching you work and hearing your insights. What do you think have been some of the most interesting changes that have happened in the industry during your career? Now, that is a very broad question, but I think that's a good place.
I think that, so I'll answer it in a broad answer. I think that one of the things that I've learned through the length of my career is that art and style changes not so much because of an individual introducing that into the medium, although it certainly is that, and Neil Adams is an example of that, but because of the technology. When we got to better printing, people started drawing and inking in a more complicated way because it was printable. It was actually it actually worked. So I think one of the things that I've learned is the technology often leads the medium. And by technology, I mean digital or better printing or, photo reproduction, better paper, all of that. When we get an improvement in the physical product, we get an improvement in the work that is printed on that physical product. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a great note to end it on. And it's 10 o'clock on the button. So.
Wow. Hey, David.
All right. I'll end there. Pretty cool. Let me just catch up some in the chat. I missed some of this conversation here. Forced perspective is strong with this one, Awesome One says. Forced perspective isn't cheating. Yes, we already got that. Speaking of AI, I watched an anime of Super Trump fighting China and Putin. It's pretty, but it's all basically screensaver patched together instead of a cohesive animation. Yep. I mean, a lot of that AI stuff works really well for memes or like funny little shorts, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously, time goes on, it's just going to get better and better. So I think similar kind of to dovetail on what Klaus Jansen was just saying about the comic book industry. I think similarly in entertainment, animation, what have you, technology drives a lot of the direction that storytelling goes. And I think the same is going to be with AI. It's like, it's not that we can avoid AI doing what it's doing. It's more like, how are the stories going to change? How are we going to, the way we consume media has already changed in the last 5 years. But what kind of stories are people going to be looking for? and how are they going to consume those stories. That's what the technology is driving now, and ultimately will change what kind of stories we tell, because the audience will change with it. So it'll be interesting. I do love the glimmer of hope that Finch was saying about original art and collectors, the collector's market of original art, that the value of that is going up because people are relying more and more on digital when it comes to comics. So that's good news for us old fogies that are promoting doing comics traditionally, which I for sure appreciate and support. So that's great to hear. But I think there's a place for both, you know. You just kind of have to choose your lane and go with it. Go with it. Whatever works is also the theme. The theme that I got from their stream. That looks great, Rocky. Thanks, Cran. I don't blame you. I blame Finch. It's a bad viewer experience. Jeffrey Beats. What's up, Jeffrey Beats?
10% bogan, 50% bogan, 100% bogan.
100% bogan. Good day, Rocky. Busy today, but I'll watch this later tonight. This looks like my jam. Later, dude. Take care, Jeffrey. Remember when Rocky did a poll to see which art was better, and I kept voting for Joe when I actually wanted a different cover? Joe. Wait. You kept voting for Joe, and you wanted a different cover. Joe what? I'm confused, Awesome One. Help me. Help me help you. Yeah, that black looks great. Nice. It's fun. It's always fun to, like, ink in the blacks. It just helps stuff pop. Like, look at that. Daredevil is just popping. I mean, I'm not even done. Still got a little bit more to go, but flying out of that scene. Batman in space. I feel character design in people's faces has decreased. Yeah, I mean, well, it depends on what you're looking at. Depends on what you're looking at. We would always joke around that there was a time, especially when like Pixar was at the top of their game, everybody was going in. Most of the artists that went on to work at Pixar or built that company graduated from CalArts, and as you know, Disney and a lot of people that, well, CalArts was started as a school by Disney, the Disney Corporation. So a lot of those graduates would go on and work at Disney. But you would just see this look, this certain look, and we called it like the CalArts style of characters, and it just started become, you know, iterative of each other. And I kind of still feel like it is. Like, you see the Pixar became so successful with their designs and their stories, and so everybody just started copying what they did because they're like, wow, they did it. It looks amazing. Let's do what they're doing. But yeah, then anytime you have that kind of success and a million copycats, then it just becomes been there, done that. You start seeing it over and over and over and over again. And it gets old. It's not unique anymore. So you got to find a new way to, like, break the system or try something different. And I think the same goes with comic books. You know, it's like those image guys, at least when I was growing up, those image guys were the top of were the kings. Then you just had a whole bunch of people that drew like them. And then they weren't so unique anymore because everybody was doing that style. Everybody was doing the Jim Lee style. Everybody was doing the Rob Liefeld style. Rocky. It was a disappointing line I just put down. We'll clean it up later. Cool. Well, we got a lot more done than I thought we would tonight. Thanks to the David Finch stream. Watching that was fun. Yes, Rocky is talking now. I didn't realize my voice was so appreciated. Thank you, everyone. See ya, Rocky. Everyone who's still watching, good evening. See you later, Cranberry. Have a good evening. I blame live streams. People still buy vinyl, so people will always buy comics, traditional art. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I believe they will. You know, it'll take a different form, maybe. But I think people will always go back to those roots. All right, let's see. Is that? I think this is a good stopping point. I just have a little bit more to go here. Well, let's see. Let me just go here. Woo, that was a nice feathering, if I do say so myself. Okay, then I got these lines to do. 1, 2. I hope that was fun, other than the ads and the differing volume levels. It was just a great stream to hear. Like Cran said earlier, it's just cool to see, like, oh, they're human too, you know, like, they're not just these like amorphous rock stars of comic book art. But they struggle with the same things. They think about the same things. They're just trying to make a living and do something they love. So it's awesome to get an insight on that. Awesome that we have that available. When I was growing up, they had just every now and then you just get those like gems of comic book artist videos on VHS tape. And be really hard to get a hold of. But now it's just through YouTube, you can find almost anybody or anything. I'm just going to keep going, but I'm not. I'm going to stop soon. So I got to get dinner. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I don't know what books are coming out tomorrow. I got to go watch my videos and find out. But hopefully I will be able to stream. That's the goal. Always my Wednesday comics. For those of you who didn't watch, on Monday, yesterday, I had an extra stream going over the books I got from Free Comic Book Day. That was fun. And I did two unboxings. Joe Sontag's Reaper Destroyer, which I was reading last night. Super fun. I really loving the black and white version that he released with that. I'm so glad he did that, because it's just great to see that artwork, see the original artwork scanned. I was looking at it closer last night. And also I picked up a few copies of that Batman Hush #2 Ashcan that was released on launch date at some select comic book stores. And that was also really cool. And then on top of that, all the books from Free Comic Book Day. That was great. So go check that out if you haven't watched that stream. Yeah, it was fun. All right, there we are. Check it out. We got that Electroface done, which I was inking with the wrong brush, but it still turned out pretty cool. And then got to ink most of the background behind Daredevil. Don't forget, I'm going to probably sometime soon go to my local art store and see if I can find some Zipatone to potentially play around here, because I do feel like it needs that extra gray tone in the back. And just hearing Klaus Janson earlier on this Finch stream talking about how he used a lot of duotone on Daredevil pages. So there you go. We had confirmation that it was duotone. So I might try that out. That might be fun. I could use it here. And I'll have to look closer at the at the color. Maybe here. And here, I could use it here too. So that'd be cool. Let's see. I'm still here. I just thought you were ending sooner, Rocky. Thanks, Grant. I am ending, but just hang on. You can hang on another minute, and I will be here. Comrade Sammy. Hello. It's been more than 20 minutes. Mark will attest. It has been more than 20 minutes. I'm later than I thought, but I would be. But I'm here. All right. Guess what? We're ending. Rocky will now redraw the whole book till 6 a.m. Mark says tardy. People are people, which is weird. MMO, I do what I want. Where did John go? Who knows? Everybody, it's falling apart here. The wheels have fallen off this bus. Where is Emo Trash? Who knows where is Emo Trash? Emo sleeps for class. That's right. She's in Sleeping 101 right now. Getting pooped on by a bird. Yep. Cranberry Landers has got all the options. No, I'm not doing another panel. I gotta go. Now do another Eisner piece that will last 12 hours. That one was the hardest. That for sure has been the hardest. That one and Mobius, those two were the hardest. Eisner, just because the amount of ink on that page. It was just complicated drawing, but... You're here, you're waiting. Okay. We're wrapping it up. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this stream. This was a fun one. We got a lot good stuff done. It's looking, look how sexy that looks. Man, it's looking great. I'm excited. This might be one of my favorite pages that I've done so far. I'm not kidding. Not even kidding. All right. So, yeah, I will stay tuned. Tomorrow, I should be seeing you guys tomorrow. 3 days in a row. That's crazy. 3 days of Rocky in a row. But yeah, I should be seeing some of you guys tomorrow for My Wednesday Comics. Stay tuned for the notification. Usually do that around after lunchtime or so, after I get to the comic book store. So excited to dive into that. Hope you guys have a great evening. Thank you for joining me. Hit that like, subscribe if you will. If you haven't already, if you enjoy watching, talking about, seeing comic art being made, and also talking about it, just having fun and reminiscing about how amazing this medium is, come be part of this channel. We have a good time here, and I'm so thankful for all of you guys who have joined me. I'll see you later, and see you tomorrow. Yeah, sounds good. Anything else? Mark's Music Obsession says, Mobius is my fave. Go back and watch. For those of you who didn't see that Mobius one, go back and watch. It turned out great. That one was a good one. All right, I'll see you guys all later. Take care. Goodbye.